XboxEra podcast is powered by you. And if you want to support us, you can do so via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. And as a thank you for your support, you get cool stuff and we get to keep doing what we do. Now let's get into it. Friends, and welcome to episode 109 of the XboxEra podcast. I'm back from my temporary sabbatical, and as always, I'm joined by the wonderful Special Nick.
What's going on?
Thanks for hosting for me, bro, last week.
Yeah, no worries.
Covering for my flaky ass again. And we're joined today as a very special treat by the wonderful Colt Eastwood. Colt, how you doing, my man?
Really good. Thanks for having me on. It's really good to be here.
It's been a while.
Yes, it's been way too long.
It's nice to see you. Is that
two podcasts in a row for you now, back to back?
Yeah, it's been a very busy week, but as a hot Xbox game comes rolling in and some, a little bit of sewage seeps out, we get a little busy.
You had to go back to back thanks to Randall Flake. Is that right?
Randall Snore.
Randall
or as
I love that
Captain
one.
Marvel, as we will call him from now on.
Yeah. Nah, we'll call him Wong. He's Wong. As soon as things got tough, he's just out. He's like, see you later. He makes himself a portal and he's just straight out. See you guys. Straight out.
Oh dear. The Xbox podcast universe is becoming...
I feel for Gez. That's my worst nightmare.
What, a no-show?
That is my worst nightmare.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Don't you remember with Ed Freeze? And we were sitting there before the show with Ed Freeze, and I'm like, I don't think it's the real Ed Freeze. I think I've been trolled. I don't know what's going to happen. He's not going to roll up. And then, he ended up rolling up 5 minutes early. 5 or 10 minutes early.
And you had a mini heart attack when he did. You were so excited.
Yeah.
I still, no pressure, Colt. No pressure, but the Ed Freeze show, and considering we've had Phil Spencer on for episode 100, the Ed Freeze show was probably my favourite episode that we've ever done. So no pressure, Colt. I know it's not a special number right now, but you got a bar, you got to reach, man. But look, before we get into the news of the week and whatever the hell this Xbox podcast universe thing, I've been missing on Twitter for ages, so I need to play catch up a little bit. So you can explain that to me in a second. But before we do, you guys been playing any video games this week? Anything of interest?
Colt?
Yeah, I was playing Grounded this morning with my kids and MLB The Show like crazy. Sorry for all of you people who are not in the U.S. and all of you U.S. people who don't care about baseball, but found quite a bit of joy in that game. Just actually been sitting back playing baseball while we talk about how difficult of a situation Xbox fans are dealing with right now. Been in party chats with a lot of people, my RDX friends, some of my other friends that have been in other podcasts, just kind of venting and kind of coming to understanding, which is going to be a big basis for your show today, I'm sure.
Yeah, funnily enough, Nick has put that particular nugget of discussion right at the end.
I slipped it in because when I was building up the show notes all week, I'm like, man, there's no news this week. What the hell are we going to talk about? So I was trying to think of stuff to put in the show notes. And then the delay happened and I'm like, well, okay, better slip that one in.
Discussion. Maybe we'll do that first. We'll try and get that out of the way, right? I'm sure there's some community questions around that. Nick, you been playing anything fun?
I started last night Trek to Yomi.
Oh, okay.
It's not bad. It's visually gorgeous. I think the combat could be a bit tighter.
Yeah, the representation of the parry system on screen doesn't quite reflect what I want it to reflect. It's just when they're coming in for an attack and you think you're pressing block at the right time, but it doesn't feel quite right. So I guess tighter is a good.
That was less of a problem for me. It was just, I don't know, it just felt a bit imprecise and sloppy and or sluggish, I should say, clunky. And, then there's stuff that doesn't quite make sense. So I'd parry, I'm actually quite okay at the parrying. So I'd parry someone, chop them, but they'd immediately chop back, almost instantly. And I'm like, you just got sliced in the face, dude. How are you just like instantly responding with a slice back that I just can't block or parry. Like, it was just little weird things like that. But yeah, I mean, again, it's okay. It's a short game. I'm doing the garbage thing of going through it with a guide in tow so I can get the collectibles as I'm going, because I can't be bothered going back to get the collectibles.
Yeah.
But aside from that, threw more money away on RoboCop in Fortnite, because, man, RoboCop looks so good in Fortnite. It looks so good.
Is it 80s RoboCop?
Yeah, the proper RoboCop, the 1980s one. I was like, man, he looks so good. And his emote, he jumps on a little E201 or whatever that big robot's name is from the first one. I can't even remember. Ed 201 or whatever its name is. 209. He jumps on a little mini one of those and rides around on it. That's his emote. And his harvesting tool is Ed 209's leg that he's ripped off. It's like, I mean, I spent a lot of money on it, but man, I love RoboCop in Fortnite. It's so good. It's so good.
Well, I can't blame you. I have a lot of nostalgia love for RoboCop, including RoboCop 3. All right, don't judge me. The jetpack was cool.
Really.
Yeah. I've not been playing a lot this week. I played a lot of. I have tried Trek to Yomi. I've made it a little way through. It's okay. Like, I'm not in love with it, but it's a neat little experiment.
Yeah.
And I like games that experiment with stuff. The art style is incredible.
I like short games.
Yeah, it's short as well, which is always pleasurable.
How short? Because I don't hear a lot of glowing reviews from my friends. They're like frustrated, or they're kind of slightly enjoying it.
Yeah,
I haven't beat it yet. I don't know. I've just heard it's a short game. I've just heard it's quite a short game.
I think it's like 5 to 6 hours. But our reviewer, Harmonica, he said, "Hey, normal is actually a little bit too hard. It probably would have been there should be a better difficulty between the easy cinematic mode where you just want to play the story and the actual more learn the combat mode. So maybe there's a happy middle ground. But yeah, people will get used to it, right? But the game I've been mostly spending time on, and hopefully, if you're subscribed to the channel, you've taken some time out to have a look, is the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. I put a little video review together last week, which I had a lot of fun making because I tried to do my best Kevin Brighting impression. Worth a watch if you haven't seen it. But it's a wicked game. It's a wicked game. It's well worth the 20 quid to play. If you've never played it, if you have played it, I'd still say it's worth picking up because it surprises you. And spoiler alert, I think it's effectively, and I don't think many reviewers have said this, even though I feel it is the case, is they made a sequel whilst taking the mockery out of making the sequel. Like, when I load up the game now, it actually says Stanley Parable 3 Grilled Octopus. I don't know why, but it does, right? There's so many neat little game design commentary things in there that if you're even remotely interested in how games are made or the state of the industry, it's got to be worth a playthrough. It's so much fun. But that's it. That's about all.
Go check out Sik's review. Like he said, it was very non-spoiler, very, very vague, and
deliberately
very intriguing little review and preview. I really liked it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to make, considering I did it very quickly. We have a super chat floating around. Do you want to read that?
Yeah, we do. We've got one from Patrick.
We've got two.
Yep. Patrick, $5 super chat. Can we start off the show saying that more games will come to Game Pass between now and the launch of Starfield than any of us will be able to play? I mean, look, we'll talk about this, but that's the funny thing, isn't it? That's yeah. I'll have a lot to say on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Another super chat from Varog23. Hey, Nick, I'm from Singapore, and I'm coming to Melbourne in November. Any cafes or restaurants you would recommend?
Oh, great. Here comes half hour.
Wow.
Western life.
Wow. Okay, everyone, get settled in. Get your seats ready. Get comfy.
Limit your answer to 30 seconds. For the love of God.
Now, if we're going to stick to the CBD, into the central business district, the city of Melbourne, there's a really nice restaurant called Left Bank Melbourne, which is really, really nice for dinner. There's a street for cafes. There's thousands of cafes. I think our cafe density matches New York's or something, or our restaurant density matches New York's. It's crazy. there's a street in Melbourne called the Greaves Street in the city, and it's like this brilliant laneway that's like famous for all the graffiti artwork and all the cafes, and there's a whole ton of cafes in there that you can't go wrong. Like, there's no point singling one out. So if you go to De Greaves Street, you will find a lot of brilliant cafes and restaurants. South Bank, which is along the Crown Casino complex, there's a whole ton of restaurants. Left Bank is my favourite. But yeah, can't go wrong. Melbourne, you can just turn any corner and there'll be a nice restaurant or a cafe in Melbourne. There's like so many. It's amazing.
Nick will host his own Where to Go in Melbourne show after this show.
Look, actually, you know what? I will mention one more place. So my friend Jason, who super chats the show a lot, and I play Rocket League with him, he's coming to Melbourne in 2 weekends' time. So not next weekend, the weekend after. I am taking him to a place called Easy's in Collingwood in Melbourne. And Easy's is a burger joint, and it's a big, tall building. It must have been an old office building that they converted into a restaurant. And what they've done is they've taken 3 abandoned trains, old trains, and put them on the top of the building and converted one of them to like seating and a bar and all that in this train. So you eat these burgers on a train on the roof of a building. So you can see the whole of Melbourne from this train while you're eating your burgers. It's called Easy's. And they make the best burgers I've ever had in my life. And they're so light. You could have 15 of them and not feel anything. They just go straight through. Like just, so good. It's called Easy's. Go check out Easy's.
That is well worth money, right?
And there's Jason. There's Jason in the super chat. He goes, can't wait.
Right. Okay. Now, right. Let's. I know we've got it low down on our schedule, but let's get it out of the way. 'Cause Colt mentioned it, right? And we've already had a super chat about it, kind of touching on it from Patrick. So Microsoft this week, and it caused a little bit of an uproar. Microsoft this week announced, or Bethesda announced, that Microsoft was just like, Starfield
Awesome.
and Redfall are delayed. Now, I've seen, and I've kind of stayed off Twitter this week entirely. So I've seen a few bits.
Probably a good idea.
Of some of the over-the-top, ridiculous, melodramatic reactions, right? Wherein, if you say, okay, no worries, you're a shill, and if you are furious, you are toxic. That's it. That's it. That's the two extremes. You're not allowed to just be like, okay.
Yeah, Twitter's been a weird place, and I've tried to stay mostly out of the discussion because anyone who watches this show will know I have no interest in Starfield.
Starfield or
Redfield
or
Redfield or Starfield. I had zero interest in Starfield, so this delay meant nothing to me. I'm like, cool, okay. I will admit though, did not see it coming. Like, I thought Redfall was a chance of being delayed. I think we had actually said it on the show a couple of weeks back that Redfall should come this year, but if they need to delay it, they will. Starfield, I thought, like, if you had asked me a week ago, do you believe Starfield's coming out this year on the date, I would have been like, yep, 100%. Yep, for sure.
I've definitely said it in an earlier podcast. I've got a plate of crow in front of me right now. I was like, they're not changing that date.
Yeah, I was like, nah, this is coming out 11th of the 11th, 22, like 100%. So the Starfield one did take me by surprise. Do I care? No, I was never interested in Starfield, so I'm not upset by it. I understand why people are. I do get why people are upset about it. Like, there's a lot of people that were looking forward to Starfield. It was Microsoft's big game for the year. So I understand why people are a bit bothered. I just personally am not that fussed by it. That's all.
Well, what's your take, Colt? Come on, because I know you've been in the trenches of the Twitter world. You know, fighting the good fight and talking
and I know Gaz is not happy at all.
Right, and I get the sentiment generally from any Xbox fan that it's like, okay, so what as an Xbox first gamer, what do I have to look forward to, dear Microsoft? And right now, until the showcase at least, the real answer is nothing.
GoldenEye.
Right now, like, well, that's still not confirmed, right? There's nothing on the books from the first party perspective, and I think that's what a lot of people have an issue. Would you agree with that?
That we know of.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Xbox fans are angry at me because I said, people should know better. Coming from me, when I say Xbox Game Studios was established in 2018, and all they've given us since then is Halo, Gears, and Forza, and release games on PlayStation. Now, that statement is 90% true. Yeah. The only thing that has come from Xbox Game Studios since I said late 2018 in the tweet. Yeah. The only thing that's come since Sea of Thieves and State of Decay is Ori, which Xbox didn't make, and Flight Sim, which Xbox didn't make, but only through Game Studios or Game Studio Publishing. So really, it's been Halo, Gears, and Forza, and what we're looking at is possibly, look what just flew in to keep me alive, Mountain Dew.
Wow.
What we're looking at is Gears Tactics, a Gears collection, Halo Infinite, Halo Infinite Seasons, Forza Horizon 5, Forza Horizon 4, and Forza Motorsport. And that's it from the game studios. But the problem is, like, In Exile came on, Obsidian came on, they were making multiplats. Then you had Bethesda's teams, which were making Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop for PlayStation. So it's a really horrible timing. And of course, I've been there. People should know better. I've been saying, calm down. Like, this summer, it's over. Xbox has no games. It's over. It's going to be nothing but Xbox games every quarter. Yeah. Don't worry. But what happened is Phil and Todd and them had to make this decision this past week where they'd say, we didn't want to say it, Phil, but we need to delay these two games. And Phil's like, that's all we have. We couldn't get Stalker because Ukraine got invaded. We didn't have anything else. We were hoping for Redfall in sometime toward the end of the summer, and then Starfield. And both of those games had to be pushed. But don't get mad at me because I am so glad they're not going to show Starfield like Craig 2.0. And I'm so glad they're not going to release it incomplete and under-delivered like they did with Halo Infinite, because that is more difficult than dealing with Starfield's been delayed. Thank you. I'm out of here. No, that's how I feel. All right.
I think that's
what I'm curious about. What do we think in terms? So Halo got delayed literally months before it was due to come out. It got delayed, so they announced the day in August, and it was going to come out in probably November 2020.
Yep.
This is being delayed 6 months before it's due to come out.
Yeah,
or longer.
So, it was the date was 11th of the 11th, so it's almost 6 months to the day.
Yeah.
So, I mean 6 months out from original release date. Sorry. I mean it's being delayed 6 months out from. So, what do you think that means? He locked in November 11 because that's the date he wanted. They were super confident about it, and then 6 months before that date, they're like, "Ooh, we need to delay it."
Something is really rough. The way the game, what could possibly happen, Nick, is that they got this. They've been getting this vertical slice ready for the past 2 months, and they picked a segment like, let's get them on this planet, let's get them to take off. And then we're going to fly over to this place. We're going to land in this settlement, and then we're going to do some combat. And then we'll say, this is the game. And we'll have this segment. It'll be all pre-recorded gameplay. It's going to be amazing. And then as they're putting that stuff in there, stuff starts looking wonky. And you know how the internet is. And I said this just an hour ago. If the character pulls up their gun and an elbow does something wacky, people are going to laser in on that and go, oh my gosh, you see how Bugthesda looks? It's going to be really... What the crap, Razor Raymond? Colt doing a lot of dancing on Microsoft. Boy, stop. Are you even...
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
Pull out some Q-tips, bro. Listen to what I'm saying. So, anyway, Bethesda's building this vertical slice and stuff's not looking good. And I know the team's sitting around going, I don't want to make the call. I don't want to tell Todd. I don't want to tell Phil. But I think I don't know if we're in this situation or not. And it came to a situation where they said, we have to make this choice. The game has to be delayed. We have to tell the powers that be. It's going to be super difficult. We're in a really bad situation, but we want the game to be amazing because Starfield needs to come out angelic. It has to come out at a high
basically
80.
Perfect. Basically
it's got to be super good. It cannot come out the way that Halo Infinite did at a high 80 with compromises. And this is a situation where they had to make this choice. And I think it all came down to building this vertical slice, this gameplay deep dive. What I don't know, Sik, I don't know if you have any magical idea what could possibly happen. What we don't know is, are they going to do a deep dive, or have they decided let's put this back to a 3-minute showing instead of like a 12-minute showing?
I don't think we'll have a 12-minute showing this E3 now. I think we will have a general idea of what the game is to an extent. Like, it won't be a long cinematic or anything like that. We'll see some gameplay. I'm pretty confident of that. I think the real reason for the delay is going to go back to looking at their engine, right? I know there's been some scuttlebutt from some other developers about some of their new rendering techniques and their pipeline, and as they've tried to really update the creation engine to facilitate the game that they want to make. And perhaps they've just truly underestimated that length of work. So when you talk about things being wonky, in that gameplay demo that perhaps they want to do, I think they're looking at, okay, we've got 6 months. Do we realistically think, and they probably have like these checklists, these, they call them sprints when I think 343 call them sprints, but they have these certain goals and targets that they have to hit. And there might have been a management meeting within the last month or so that said, have we hit this point that we can successfully now crush bugs and polish for the next 6 months? And if the answer to that is no, then there was probably some very serious conversation, like what can we do? What can we cut? And perhaps the call was made, and that's the call. Redfall, it's a different engine. I'm not sure if Arcane use their own, if they're making it on Unreal. I can't remember now.
I think Redfall's on Unreal. I think.
I'll look it up for you.
We saw some stuff on there because we saw some leaked footage, and it was Unreal 5, if memory serves.
Yeah. This felt very last minute.
I guarantee you, the fact that they were
right.
both delayed, that's probably all been in that meeting. There's been a general studio management meeting. What's the status of these projects? Hey, from this level of management up, we've got some concerns with this. I don't know if we're going to be able to hit this date. We need to make the call now. And then it's gone up the chain, and they've made the call. It is what it is. It's just
almost all the delays, a lot of the major delays that have come from big games in the last few years, a lot of them, there was like rumors and like people were hearing stuff with most of them. We heard about them with Battlefield. I even got...
It's been messy.
Remember, I even famously, stupidly got the DM about Halo getting delayed and forgot about it. Like a lot of delays people hear about. These two, no one heard anything. Like these two feel like they came out of nowhere. So it just makes me wonder what was... And again, we're talking, in the case of Redfall, probably 4 months away from launch, and in the case of Starfield, 6. So you just wonder... Yeah, very interesting.
Think my general nutshell on this is I get if you're a real hardcore video gamer and Xbox is your platform of choice, totally think it's fair to be a little bit grumpy right now and a little bit like, man, you better bring some serious cheddar to the game showcase in June, because
Goldeneye.
now it's looking a bit light on the ground, and that's frustrating.
Why?
As a customer, it's frustrating.
Hold on,
right?
Colt. You're basically my age. Are you telling me you didn't love Goldeneye as a teenager?
No, I'm mostly with you on that. I just think it's funny when you keep bringing up Goldeneye. And I watched Randall.
It's going to be the biggest game of the year. Goldeneye is going to be the biggest game of the year.
Well, let me ask you something, Nick, because I was defending you against Randall Snore.
Rand can get stuffed.
Well, let's get to this later, because we don't want to set off this excellent pacing of this wonderful show. Well, let's pin this for later, but I want to ask you about later what you think what type of remaster that is. We'll get into that later. Then we can see how excited we can all be about GoldenEye. Yeah, but I played it back in the day. It was like a game changer for sure.
Oh.
I remember somebody had I didn't have a Nintendo 64 back then. I've actually never owned one, but I walked into a room and someone was playing it, and I go, "What?" Because I remember Doom. Looking like it did, and I'm like, "What? Holy smokes!" And people were like glued to their 21-inch TVs, just like playing that
split
thing like
screen
crazy.
too.
GoldeNeye's fine, but as Perfect Dark was an unofficial sequel, is the better game, and the remaster already exists with Xbox Live multiplayer. I don't get really that excited about GoldenEye unless you're a massive Bond fan. Aside from the nostalgia trip and playing as Oddjob, it's all a bit meh. I'm sorry, bro.
Look, so here's the problem now. So everyone's annoyed because Xbox has nothing for 2022. Again, we'll obviously need to wait for the showcase to see what else there is. I'm assuming they're probably going to chase a few third-party Game Pass Day 1 deals.
Yeah,
is my assumption.
I think they have a couple nice surprises that they may have they already have before this delay, and we should also talk about what they could do to mitigate. But yeah, we could be all over
I think there's a couple they'd be wise to go after. But the thing is, I mean, everyone's like, oh, well, they've got Forza Motorsport for this year. I mean, again, everyone keeps saying that, but we don't know they have Forza Motorsport. They haven't announced it. They haven't said anything. Right now, the only thing we're almost sure of this year is GoldenEye, which will be on Switch as well.
Oh my gosh.
There are a couple more things I may be aware of that I'm not allowed to say. Having said that, these two things are probably things that people won't count on the list. So,
you mean they don't think they're big enough?
You know how gamers trademark, copyright registered trademark. Gamers they like to shift goalposts a lot, and there's stuff that counts and there's stuff that doesn't count.
Absolutely.
So, depending on who you are, depending on whether you like Xbox or Platform X, there are certain games that count and there are certain games that don't. So, for example, for the PlayStation 5 launch, Demon's Souls counted as a game, even though it was a remake of a PlayStation 3 game. Now, as an example, let's just say hypothetically that Banjo remake,
even though it wasn't made by a PlayStation first-party studio.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they are now.
Yeah,
but let's just say hypothetically, Banjo remake gets announced at E3. Let's just say full-blown remake, right, of Banjo, just like Demon's Souls. Let's just say. Would that count as a first-party game for 2022? Just like Demon's Souls counted as a PlayStation 5 launch exclusive?
No.
Does Banjo count? To me, it counts.
Of course it counts to us, but it doesn't count to the internet because...
And that's what I'm saying. Would it count to gamers' trademark? Because
this is
I'm just saying.
No, you're right. But this is what I mean when I talk about the reaction online. Is if you're an Xbox customer that plays primarily here, that was really looking forward to Starfield and Redfall, and only want to play first-party games on your Xbox, you have every right to be annoyed, grumpy, whatever.
Yeah.
I think the way you communicate your annoyance and grumpiness should be examined. But if you're on Twitter screaming blue murder and hurling offensive shit out, right? Yeah. Okay, this isn't politics, right? Which I know, no offense, but the country and the world is starting to treat like a team sport. It's not football. It's not cricket. I don't know. We can put whatever analogy you want to put on it. It's just bloody video games. There'll be plenty of other video games to play. I don't care. Like I haven't got enough invested in it as an Xbox content creator to be like and start hurling abuse out at people. Hell, I think one of our writers was like, it's not that big a deal. Maybe it shows that they actually care about putting out quality products, and we're getting called a shill site. And it's like, or you can just read it as one person's opinion on that site, right? I'm sure other people on the team think, yeah, this sucks, but it's okay to think both things. Just don't be a dickhead. That's my take. There you go.
Yeah,
I like it.
I don't know. And the chat will hopefully keep me honest. So far this year, Microsoft first party has released nothing. Sony has Horizon and Gran Turismo 7. Yes?
Yes. So they're two ahead.
Yeah. Now, God of War, I think God of War will make 2022. but there
You
is
missed
a
one.
chance. What?
Microsoft first party did put a game out. They put out Ghostwire Tokyo on the PlayStation.
Yeah. Well,
That is interesting.
so Sony put out as far as exclusives go, because I just saw Hargeet mention MLB, but that's multiplayer. So if we're not, because apparently we don't count multiplayer. So
Let's follow
Horizon-
the rules that we love so much.
Horizon, you have to. Apparently these are the rules. I'm trying to keep up with all the rules. So Horizon, Gran Turismo 7. That's it. Now, if God of War gets delayed, I'm still confident of 2022, but if it gets delayed, that's 2 games for the year for Sony. That's it. Just 2. Correct? Is there anything
We're
else
delayed
slated
from
for
last
No,
year.
because they're buying loads of exclusives, man, and that's what Xbox.
No, but first party exclusives, that's 2, correct? For the
Yeah,
year.
I mean, because Forspoken is coming, and it's
But that's not first party.
right? And
But that's not
I know
first
it's not
party.
first party. But it's like when you're on PlayStation, you're making these list awards. I've seen it many times. They've got all these stacked games that are all money-hatted games, and
Yep.
they ignore all the money-hatted Xbox games because Xbox has all these other games. Like
well,
Tunic,
I just saw Agonos.
Count.
I just saw Agonos say Tunic. Sorry, Agonos, the Tunic doesn't count, mate, because it's not AAA. It's, so remember, the goalposts have to keep shifting. So
Yeah,
indie doesn't count. So
You know what?
You know what I mean?
Highest
That's the
highest
rules.
Metacritic exclusive this year.
Yes,
It
what
released
is
it's
it?
up near the top is Rogue Legacy 2.
Oh yeah,
It's like
People are
89,
only on
and
Xbox.
it's only on Xbox for now.
that doesn't count though either. That's indie. Doesn't
it's
count.
an indie. Doesn't count.
That's right. Doesn't count. So Sony's made the 2 first party exclusives this year if God of War gets delayed. Now, if hypothetically Forza Motorsport comes out, so there's Gran Turismo 7, Forza Motorsport.
it's just one.
Let's
versus,
just
2.
So, like I said, I may have heard rumblings of 2 more things that we don't know about. If those 2 things come to light, all of a sudden Microsoft has ended up releasing more in 2022 than Sony did.
No, there'll be a reason.
Why?
No, I'm just saying. You know,
There'll be a reason that it doesn't
there'll
count.
be a reason.
It'll go to
PlayStation
budget.
has Stray and Volcano High as well that don't
Okay.
count, right? What else do they have coming that doesn't count? I
lots.
think there's
Babylon's
always
Fall.
Babylon's Fall.
Babylon's
Yeah, that's
Fall,
another one.
yeah.
I think Xbox either way has more exclusive. If you're just going by the straight exclusive, timed exclusive, or whatever,
Oh, yeah.
Xbox has more exclusive games in their driest year, the year of our Lord 2022, than PlayStation does. But according to some, like people saying only AAA's count, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't
PlayStation
it?
could have 3 AAAs if God of War Ragnarok makes it. Like Nick
Yep.
and I think it'll make it by September,
I
October.
think
right?
I think it will. I think it will,
think it
but
will.
I thought Starfield would too. So so who knows? But Berean Analytics made an interesting point. Age of Empires on console.
Yeah.
Yes, that's coming.
That's definitely a thing.
And guess
Yeah.
It's
what?
funny.
Guess
I
what?
didn't want to
know it-
spoil
I know it was
that
on
for our
PC.
friend Adam, but
I know that was on PC, but it is an Xbox exclusive,
it's an Xbox console
and
exclusive.
and it's a AAA game.
Oh, but it's an RTS.
Isn't it?
Doesn't count. Doesn't count.
RTS
racing
doesn't
games,
count, mate.
doesn't
No,
count.
oh, that's-
Sorry,
Sorry,
RTS doesn't
come
count,
on.
mate.
It's not
Sorry,
third person
RTS
over the
doesn't
shoulder
count.
stuff. Yep.
Yeah, it's not a banger. It's not. I mean, it's probably going to rate 90 meta, but it's not a banger. It's not a banger, mate.
funny.
Sorry, it doesn't count.
It's funny.
Doesn't count, buddy.
I was having a chat anecdotally, right, with among RL friends on WhatsApp about Game Pass, and people were like, oh, there hasn't been much that's come to Game Pass, so far, and I'm like, what? What
I
do you
know.
mean? It's like, where's some real big stuff? And I'm like, well, in this year alone, I was like, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Hitman trilogy, MLB this year. Oh yeah, sports game. I was like, yeah, but it's a broad palette. There's lots of games.
They even
like,
had cricket to go along with baseball.
and they're like, yeah, but I want this specific thing, and I'm like, yeah, okay, but like, have you tried Tunic? Have you tried Death's Door? Oh yeah, but I want AAA. I'm like, okay. I don't know what to say to you. It's a subscription service that's trying to tick as many boxes as possible. You can't go, nothing's come out when here's this big list of games. I get the sentiment though. People do want their AAA bangers that aren't RTS or a racing game or insert arbitrary rule here. and you know, for a long time on this podcast, I think every Xbox content creator has been like, 2022 is the kind of final like rough beginning of the year. We'll have a good fall, and then 2023 is where they're going to be like hitting us with so many games we won't be able to keep up. And it looks like the delay has happened. You know, Xbox fans are used to waiting. Looks like we've got to wait another 6 months.
Isn't that funny? Like, I've seen everyone melting down over this, and I'm like, man, my 2022 still looks pretty much exactly the way I was hoping. So I got Kirby, I got Tunic, I'm getting Mario Strikers, I'm getting Mario plus Rabbids 2. Like, I'm still all good. I'm getting everything I wanted. Getting GoldenEye. I'm getting the other redacted thing that I mentioned in the Discord. I'm getting the other potential. So, okay, I can probably mention this, just not specifically. So remember there was a rumor mill a while back where I said that there is another Microsoft franchise that's getting the Master Chief Collection type treatment.
Oh, yeah.
I am of the belief that is coming this year.
Yeah.
So that could be an E3. So I keep saying E3. It's just easier to say E3 because they do it at E3 time.
Say E3. All these people say E3. That we can't call it E3. I said, too bad. I'm calling it E3. That's what it's
just easier to call
owns the E3 season with Jeff
Keighley. Like they do it. Even when E3 was a thing, Microsoft always did it. On the 12th, at that time, blah, 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 blah. For me, it's been Queen's birthday in Melbourne. I always get the Queen's birthday public holiday. So maybe it'll be their E3 announcement, that collection from a Microsoft franchise. I mean, everyone's guessed it. I'm still not going to say it, but everyone's guessed it. What makes me laugh, though, is that if you go from November 2021 to November 2022, and you look at Microsoft's big output, it could wind up being Halo Gears Full.
Halo Gears and Forza. That's the crap I took, because that's the stuff I took a lot of heat for that. I said that ever since this gen has started, it's been Gears Tactics, Halo Infinite, Forza Horizon 5, Gears Collection, and Forza Motorsport. Halo, Gears, and Forza. And really, when you look at the game studios, like the original studios, and then they brought on In Exile, they brought on Obsidian, they brought on Undead Labs, and they brought on Playground. Before they brought on Bethesda, I don't think I'm missing anybody. Just one more. But anyway, all they've basically released is Halo, Gears, and Forza, and then Ori and Flight Sim that they didn't make. Their studios didn't make them; they just published them through Games Publishing Studio. So it's a problem that was supposed to be over, and it's out of Phil Spencer's. It's not Phil Spencer's fault, unless Phil Spencer was supposed to be cracking the whip on hundreds of employees working on Starfield. I bet you, and we'll never know, right? I'll bet you that Bethesda's reports to Xbox leadership have been really good about Starfield up until they started this vertical slice and they started running into, because you're in this, you don't start polishing until a couple of months before the game comes out. So they're in the finishing stage of creation and putting this game together and getting ready to make it amazing for launch. And now they do this vertical slice, and it unearthed some problems that need 6 months to 9 months to repair. And holy crap, what a situation has put all of us into that have been waiting for this Xbox no new IPs problem to be alleviated.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as I said, we're used to waiting. Time to wait some more. Well, let's make some clickbait headlines between now and then. You know, I can see several reputable outlets are already on that. So
there's a sorry. There's a super chat which I read it and I'm like, hold on, this is a weird question. But then Jason is clarifying via Discord DM. So he's got a super chat. Jason, hypothetically, if Bethesda is still independent right now, I think he must have typoed here. Do you think Starfield still gets delayed? I think about their history with unpolished games on launch. Now, what he was trying to say, and I think it typoed, was if Bethesda weren't independent. If they were independent and not owned by Microsoft, would Starfield still have been delayed?
Yep.
If they were independent.
I reckon so. I reckon with the pandemic in tow as well, yeah. But it wouldn't have mattered because Sony would have bought it and it wouldn't be coming out on our console at all until 2024. So
yeah, maybe that's right. We also have a community question about this. Yeah, should we go to that?
Yeah, let's wrap up this segment on the drama with some community questions.
With a couple of community questions. So we've got TornRaptor. Hi guys, I see that podcast episode 108, Prepare for Disappointment, wasn't talking about MVG after all. How did you know about these delays? I do understand the disappointment, as I was disappointed initially. I do have confidence that both Starfield and Redfall will be better for the delays. I have other games to play in the meantime, so it's good of Phil to give me some space. This is the thing, like we keep saying this. We all have more games than we can handle, right? Like, we're always complaining about there's not enough time to play all these games, and yet 2 games, and one of them is like a multiplayer co-op thing, which would suck hours from your life, and then the other one's a massive, probably 100+ hour RPG, and we're worried. Like I don't know.
It'll be good for the winter. Starfield. Just all.
Look at Horizon Forbidden West, right? It's this game that was hyped to hell and back, AAA banger that was supposed to be Game of the Year running, blah, 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 blah. It's been forgotten about. Literally a month later, Sony didn't even mention it in its sales call, which was very interesting. Neither Horizon Forbidden West or Gran Turismo 7 sales were mentioned in that. Funny how no one's talking about that, is it? We have so many games now that, games even like Horizon Forbidden West are getting forgotten about. It's just... I don't know. But again, maybe my perspective is a little warped because I never really cared about Starfield to begin with.
Yeah.
So maybe my perspective is a little warped on that. If Goldeneye got delayed, I'd probably be with all those people.
Yeah.
And losing my shit.
Tell the good audience here why you're not interested in Starfield. Yeah.
I'm not
bagging. I just
no. I've just never been a big open world RPG, sink hundreds of hours into side quests type of guy. That's just not my thing.
To be honest, I'm the same, Colt. I've tried Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout.
Never played Skyrim. Never played
them for more than an hour. I'm just like, oh wow. Bored. People will tell me these are the greatest games.
Didn't play Red Dead.
Skyrim last and get re-released over and over and over. Most sold Bethesda game ever, Stone Cold classic. And I'm like, But Starfield for me, as a big sci-fi fan, it's the perfect, genre, I suppose, to maybe it gets to be my Skyrim. It gets to be my first Bethesda game where I'm like, oh my God, this is, but I will find out in 2023. Big deal, doesn't bother me. I don't have time. 2022 for me is pretty much a write-off at this moment in time anyway, and lots of people know why. I won't go into it. It's been a rough year. There's not many games being played right now at all. I'm fine with all these delays. Less for me to do or worry about. Keep it up. What was the other community question we've got?
The other one. Isn't it from CreakyLegs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, lads. Since we're going to have a year drier than the Sahara Desert in terms of Xbox first-party releases this year, next year for sure, right? I'm getting real tired of saying that every year. Anyways, what are some Xbox exclusives we already have that maybe Xbox gamers missed out on and should go back and play in 2022? Could be something really old like Crimson Skies, or from last gen like Sunset Overdrive. CreakyLegs has been playing Sunset Overdrive. I was literally just saying that. There's so much. There's more than people can handle. I've got 4 or 5 games in quick resume because I keep jumping from game to game because there's just so many bloody games. I've got Death's Door in quick resume, Guardians of the Galaxy in quick resume, now Trek to Yomi in quick resume, Lego's Star Wars Skywalker Saga in quick resume. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old and I don't understand this list wars, goalpost shifting rule set that exists in gaming, and it's just I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
So to round this whole segment off, there's last two super chats, which I'm going to read in reverse order from Hargeet Chani, who says it's a little unfair to eliminate in-progress games from acquired studios and expect that games that take 5+ years to make should suddenly appear. And then I think this is a salient point to end on. His first super chat is, so it's come to this. If PlayStation puts out a game, it counts. If Xbox puts out a game, it isn't really a game. There you go. It isn't really.
And that's what I mean. That's basically what it is. Like,
somebody in the chat said, none of the Xbox games are exclusive because they come to PC. It's like oh, man, yeah. I don't know how long you've been. I don't know how long you've been doing this, but holy smokes! Like that should have been corrected in the cerebral cortex of your mind a long time ago. That if it's on Xbox and it's only on Xbox, it's exclusive. And the console is just but a part of the platform, sir. This is but a wee part.
That 2017 argument still getting regurgitated is not a great sign.
Yeah.
And yes, Jason, I'm sorry. Your super chat wasn't a typo, Jason. I'm sorry. It's just my 8 a.m. brain not interpreting things properly. Sorry.
Never mind. We won't judge you. Okay. Right, there you go. Drama over. Let's crack on through the rest of this news. There's actually been a lot going on this week, right? And the first other interesting piece of news is that EA and FIFA have finally split up. I know. Their partnership is over. And instead of FIFA every year, you now get to look forward to EA Sports FC.
FC. I don't know. See, I think that's a bigger deal.
It's fine.
FIFA has been a staple for nearly 30 years, 28 years. I think 94 was the first FIFA game because I got it on Mega Drive.
Yep.
And I have bought FIFA every year since, and I stopped in 2010. So for the better part of my maths is terrible. For the better part of 15 years, I was buying FIFA every year and then just stopped because I realized what they were doing. But I think this is a big deal, man. Like, that's an end of an era. Like, no more FIFA by EA. Like, no more EA Sports. It's in the game when you play FIFA. And what's FIFA going to do? Who's going to make their game? Like, is this... Because, again, I haven't read about it to know if anything's been officially announced, but who's going to be making FIFA soccer going forward? Do we know?
I don't think there is a team out there that would be willing to pay, I think it was something crazy like 4 billion, or it was over $1 billion or something crazy for the license for 4 years and staff up a team to compete with the team that is making Football Club, aka FIFA. So yeah, I think FIFA can go fuck themselves. No more money for you guys, you bunch of corrupt old douchebags.
I mean, let's leave the corruption in football to the side for a second. But like, my thing is, it's an awkward situation, probably more for FIFA and less for EA.
Yeah.
Because EA are going to just keep releasing the exact same game they have been for the last 10 years, and everyone's just going to call it FIFA. They're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to go buy the new FIFA.
Yeah.
Right? Even though it's not called FIFA. They're just going to buy it and they're going to call it FIFA. Then FIFA's going to release probably FIFA 24. I'd be surprised if they have a 23. Well, actually, what is the situation? So is this year's game going to be FIFA 23?
Yes, they signed a 1-year deal for this last one.
Okay, so this year's will be called FIFA 23. Okay. So next year, like, they have a year. They have a year to get a FIFA 24 ready. With another studio, with another...
Won't happen.
Konami presents FIFA 24. Just reskin.
You joke, but surely that's their only option now. Like, because if there's one thing about FIFA that we know about the organization FIFA, aside from corruption, is that they're also petty. So I would not be surprised if they just for next year, so they have something. So what they'll do is, I reckon in the background, they'll be working on building a studio or contracting a studio to make soccer games.
Maybe.
But for next year, they'll probably go to Konami and be like, look, we'll give you the license cheap. Just for 1 year, we'll give you the license cheap. This is PES's chance. I know it's not called PES anymore, whatever.
eFootball.
Just like FIFA. Everyone still calls it PES. So, for 1 year, they'll be like, here you go, PES. Here's your chance. You get all the likenesses, you get all the players, you get everything. for 1 year, and they'll call that FIFA 24. And it will be PES labelled FIFA 24. That's what I reckon they'll do. Because they can't just not have a game next year. I'd be shocked.
I don't think they will. I don't think that they have... I don't think that there would be a team that could compete with a previous FIFA title and just spit one out in a year.
Here's an idea. Go to Nintendo. Right? Go to Nintendo.
Mario Strikers.
They've already got Mario Strikers out next month. By the way, it's also my birthday next month. Mario Strikers also comes out next month for anyone listening. Mario Strikers comes out next month. In 24, you do a deal with Nintendo to release like a FIFA DLC for Mario Strikers. And there's your FIFA game. And it would be a massive seller.
I think you're dreaming. What do you reckon, Colt? I mean, I know soccer isn't as...
Colt doesn't care about football.
Colt's like, whatever, man. I don't give a shit.
Colt doesn't care about soccer.
I was a coach for 3 years, and I'm like, is that a corner kick or a goal kick? Yeah, no.
I half expected you to start pulling out a book and just be idly browsing whilst we were going through this segment.
A book? What am I, Rand? Oh, no, we should be nice to Rand, but he needs
I
to be
love
nice
Rand.
to you guys.
No, we shouldn't.
When he's awake.
No, we shouldn't.
Thank you.
Not at all. Look
When
at
he's
MLB.
awake.
Look at MLB. MLB were making their own baseball game, weren't they? That RBI thing. Yeah. And when they realized after 2 or 3 cracks at it that it wasn't working, they just relented and strong-armed Sony with the MLB license and said, hey, guess what? This ain't going to be PlayStation exclusive anymore. And then it went multiplat. So that's why I'm like, that's why I think for 1 year, maybe do FIFA just, because they won't relent to EA now. They're beyond that point. Do they get petty and just give the license to Konami for 1 year cheap to allow another FIFA game to come out while they work on something else in the background? I don't know.
Guess we'll find
I'm just surprised at the lack of talk about this. This feels like a bigger deal to me. Maybe that's because I was a FIFA fan for such a long time. I don't know.
EAFC will license and retain all of the stadiums and the players because those
will
deals
they?
Are done, those deals are done with the stadiums and the teams and the players. They're not done with FIFA. The FIFA is just FIFA branding. They'll just get rid of that.
Really?
Yeah, so it will be the same bloody game. It will just have a different name. So I don't see how FIFA can compete because then they'd have to go out and try and license all of the stuff. And sorry, EA is diligently working.
And Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure.
100%.
No,
the FIFA stuff would be like the World Cup and the things FIFA themselves actually do. But player likenesses, player names, stadiums, team names, all that is on an individual basis.
I thought that all came, or most of it came under the FIFA banner.
There is a FIFA player banner. The FIFA player banner is not the same as the FIFA organization. They're actually 2 different things.
Interesting.
Go figure. There you go. So I might put a death nail into your theory there, maybe, Nick.
Yeah, if that's the case, I worked under the assumption that all those licenses and with the players and everything all came under FIFA. So if that's not the case, then FIFA's just dead. The name, basically.
The era is over, my man. The era is over.
Wow.
Welcome to your football club years.
Oh, I mean, I stopped playing those games years ago anyway. I'm whatever, but I just didn't realize. I thought that's why I've been sitting here like an idiot talking for the last 5-10 minutes about what they're going to do, because I thought the FIFA licensing and all the player likenesses and everything were all done at a FIFA level.
Negative.
Like under FIFA's banner.
FIFA. Hey, let's talk about some console sales. Sony shipped
apparently. I mean, but let's be honest. When it comes to PlayStation 5, given the current context of the fact that you can't get one, shipped effectively means sold.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Shipped is sold.
If you ask the people in our server that live in Brazil, they say they're just always in stock because Sony has priced them so insanely high. So in some places...
Yeah, all right. That's a few thousand. Big deal. Like, on the whole, shipped is basically
in Brazil,
sold.
That's a few thousand?
No, as in consoles. How many consoles would Brazil have?
Oh, yeah. I guess how many would be sitting there?
50,000? 100,000?
Yeah, you're right.
10,000? Like, how many consoles would Brazil have? All right, if there's a few sitting on shelves in Brazil, big deal. 19.3 is effectively, for all intents and purposes, the sold number. Nintendo Switch is at 107. Like,
107.
The Switch is on track to pass everything. Like, everything.
It's a great little system. It's convenient. It's got good games.
But
Good
man, that race between Sony and Microsoft. What did we say when we were talking about console sales with Rand? What did I say that I think Sony's at? I said I think they're at about 19.5 to 20, didn't I?
Yes, I think so. And I think you said 18.2.
And I said about 18 or so. I'm guessing that Microsoft's at about 18 or so. That's just a guess. But I mean, I was right on the guess with Sony, although that's a much easier guess because they announced 17.3 back in December.
Yeah.
So it was easy to guess that they'd probably sell about 2 million more. But I don't know, man. Again, it's unfortunate Microsoft may never report the numbers. I just still got this feeling that race is so much closer than people think.
Yeah.
Like I wrote in the chat, it's kind of funny that Xbox has been able to sell so many consoles in a time when you don't need an Xbox at all. All their games are on PC. And they've had trouble with their first-party output in the past 2 years, and they're still killing it because the platform is so... this week's been rough with the Starfield delay, but the platform is super desirable, and PlayStation has faltered in so many avenues, and their mixed messaging and their failure to keep up with a modern console gaming platform, it's been a little bit different.
Well, one thing I found interesting about MPD was... So Sony was number one for revenue, but in terms of console units sold, it was Switch and Xbox, which tells me, A, Sony still isn't selling the scam digital console. I call it a scam because they were never intending on making more than 3 of them. And I got one of the 3. It also tells me that the S is probably still the primary driver. Because if Sony came third in units but 1 in revenue, that means that they were selling nothing but disc consoles, and Microsoft would have been selling mostly S's.
Yeah, and it's I know people complain about the Series S, and there's been developer scuttlebutt about memory problems because of the design of it, but it works. It's a cool little console. Funnily enough, my little boy's Xbox One X has started overheating on the regular and just chucking up that I'm too hot, so I'm just going to turn off. And I'm like, I'm going to have to get you a Series S, aren't I, boy? And then I'm looking at my Series S here in this room because I've got my...
Why don't you just give him that?
Because sometimes I play in here, right? But then I've got my Xbox
Don't you have a Series X?
I've got a Series X out on the 86-inch LG, and I'm like, maybe I'll just get another Series X for in here and then give him this one. So I might pick another one up maybe later on in the year. Because, he was like, I'm going to have to delete all my games and I'll lose all my saves. And I was like, no, son, you're on an Xbox. You'll be fine. Everything will come with you.
Don't have to worry about that.
Don't have to worry about all that. There is some other news as well from Sony, and I'm just going to read out the show notes here because I presume you've got something to say on this, Nick.
What did I say?
The Sony Japan CFO proves Nick right about Jim Ryan's on day one games. So can we get into this?
So we saw the Sony Japan CFO, he did that whole dumb argument where, we can't put our games on a subscription because it'll affect the quality. The quality of the games will be affected. And I'm just like, this is why I said a few weeks back that I feel sorry for Jim Ryan. Having said that, Jim Ryan also said something a little bit stupid during the week, sent out a bit of a silly email.
We'll get into that. I was going to touch on that. I do want to know about his cat, but I'm also appalled at his stance on women's productive rights.
I can't believe he said that.
I mean, that's the craziness of Twitter and the fact that gaming is treated like some sort of weird team sport where my plastic box has to beat your plastic box. My plastic box is missing a couple of games that we were thinking weren't coming. The head of the other plastic box wants to downplay women's productive rights in the spirit of fair discussion and disagreement, and it's like, what?
And then talk about his cats.
And then talk about
his cats and
who celebrates
how dogs know their place. Dogs know their place, apparently.
I'm a cat
and
person.
I've
never celebrated a birthday. It's insane to me. And
it's
if you're watching, sorry, Nick, if you're watching this podcast right now, if you're listening to it and you're like, oh no, get your politics out of my video game discussion, XboxEra. Fuck you. Right, a woman's body is her own body. She can do what the fuck she likes with it. No old white people should tell them otherwise. And if you think I'm getting political, go somewhere else. Thank you. Sorry. There you go. It's very unusual. We swear so profusely, but there's my stance.
Yeah. So I just find it, and that's why I said a few weeks back that I feel for Jim Ryan, because remember I said he needs to do all this very slowly, because it's not as simple as just, well, I'm the boss of PlayStation, I'm just going to do whatever I want. He is juggling a lot of balls at the moment. So he gets pushback from Sony Japan whenever he wants to do something even mildly progressive. He gets pushback from hardcore PlayStation fans that are still living in 1996. So he's dealing with a lot of push and pull. So he can't just pull the trigger, yep, all PC games day one, day and date. He can't just pull the trigger, yep, all our first party in PlayStation Plus. He can't just up and do that like Microsoft did. You know, Microsoft's position was a blessing and a curse. You know, if Microsoft didn't shoot themselves in the face in 2013, we probably don't have Game Pass. We probably don't have PC Day One. We probably don't have all these amazing things we have right now. So it was a blessing and a curse. Sony's not in the same position as Microsoft. They're not down the bottom where they can just, you know, when you're at rock bottom, you're at rock bottom. There's nowhere else to go but up. Sony's never been at rock bottom. So they're always they're like that sports team that just never seems to drop down the ladder and have to redraft with number 1 and number 2 draft picks to climb their way back up. They're always just there, and they're constantly topping up with older players to sort of stay near the top, so they just never really drop down. So they have to do all this. Jim has to do all this very, very carefully, because this whole our games are gonna suffer. The games aren't going to suffer. If they hit 50 million subscribers, man, they're going to be making money hand over fist.
They only have to hit 25 million subscribers or 20. Actually, I talked about my math. I took a pretty big amount of heat for on a tweet a few days ago, but I think they only need to get day and date subscribers at $15 a month. They only need to get about 15 to 20 million subscribers, and I think they'll make up the only selling on the PlayStation 5 amount of revenue pretty quickly.
Yeah, but the funniest part is they've already got nearly 50 million subs on Plus now. They just announced that as part of the financial call. So
right, all they have to do is say, for $5 more a month on another tier, you can get God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, all our upcoming first-party games. Boom. I'll bet you those 50 million subscribers, at least 15 to 20 million in the first year, would easily jump to that, and they could pull in $2 to $4 billion of residual consumable revenue stream, which is more powerful, more impactful, more reliable, and a faster way to make money than to sell a game once and then you just walk on. That's why games as a service and DLC are so important. Yes, Sony's games sell a lot. Some of Sony's big games don't sell a lot. Horizon Forbidden West, some of them sell a lot. They did not speak about Horizon Forbidden West because that game faltered and was not as powerful and was not as popular as the first game. And that sucks. I've done that. I put out a video that I worked all weekend on, and it didn't do as well. Maybe it did almost as much as my last video, and it hurts. And that's what happened to Horizon Forbidden West. They put out this game, and they were hoping to hit 5 million. Maybe they hit 4.7, and they're like, and then that looks bad. You get this number that's in the negative, and it looks rough. You wait it out. Now they're bundling it with PS5s that they can't get out to market quick enough. And this
funny how they're bundling it now, aren't they?
Right. Then so you sell this game once, you sell them Horizon Forbidden West, and you get those sales for a couple years, and they taper all the way down, and maybe you do reach 12 million sold like you did with the last game. but it takes a long time. But if you get 15 to 20 million people paying $15 every month because PlayStation consistently puts out great games, that's reliable, all the third-party games plus the exclusives, it's a no-brainer. They would pull in $15 a month times 25 million subscribers, $4 billion in revenue. Of course, you have to take the money out of the front and the back of that. But when you look at the straight numbers of $70 games versus a subscription service, the subscription service wins. And for this CFO to say that they would have to lower the quality, that they'd have to go to Insomniac and say, hey, I know we promised you a $300 million budget for Spider-Man 2. We're putting your game in day and date, so we have to pare that back to $100 million because we can't afford it with this day and date thing. I think it's smoke and mirrors because they're not ready to make a big change and chase Xbox.
That's right. They're doing it just slowly, and that's why. And the funny thing is, they announced that they had a drop off in PlayStation Plus subscribers. Hey, guess what would increase that number? Maybe putting the game's day and date would up that number a little bit.
It would destroy that number. Yeah.
That's the irony of it. If Sony are the ones that make the games everyone wants, and their studios are so amazing that they don't have to delay their games like Microsoft does, even though Last of Us 2 got delayed, Horizon Forbidden West got delayed, God of War got delayed, all big games get delayed, man. And that's the problem. That's why I put out the tweet I put out. Maybe if all these games stop trying to be massive, ambitious, bloated, padded out games, maybe they could tighten the budgets and get them out faster and more polished. And why does every game have to be 50, 100 hours plus? I know that some games can be. I'm not saying none of them should be. But at the same time, they don't all have to be, do they?
That's why they're looking at about 5 to 10 games as service games. And Nivik Detatin in the chat says Disney don't put their blockbusters day and date. It's like, yes, I know. We just finished saying that Disney puts their bangers day and date in their service, and they have you pay every month. In fact, Disney will do you one better to prove where PlayStation is sitting. Disney only gives you one episode per week, so you can continue to pay month on month.
Keep coming back.
Why are they doing that? Because subscription services are king. And you may not like to hear it, but guess what? All of us have at least 5 subscription services for our music, our movies, and our games. And don't tell me you don't, because we have learned in this era, in this day and age, in the 2020s, right? Or even sooner, that subscription services are a incredible, undeniable value. And the way to consume your TV, your music, and your games on a la carte, on demand, when you want it is just the most positive disruption in the industry. And for Sony to sit there and say it's not feasible, I don't want to use the word lie, and I did use the word lie a couple hours ago on Game On Daily, but it is a fallacy that because 25 million PlayStation guys would go sign me up as soon as it happens. And there's going to be the people that say, we don't want day and date, we want the quality. But if PlayStation finally said, here it is, day and date, $15 a month, they would plow through the internet to get that signed up. Because
I'd sign up straight away.
What we're all enjoying.
I would sign up straight away. I don't know. I've always found that odd. How many times have I said on this show, John, that I liken PlayStation to Disney Plus? So Netflix took a long time, long time, just like Microsoft's taken a long time to get to 25 million. Netflix took ages to get to their 100, 200. Disney got to their 130 or whatever they are. They got there in no time.
Yeah,
why? Because they have the IPs and the content that people want. So I always liken PlayStation to Disney Plus. Apparently, according to the internet, Sony's got the IPs and the games that everyone wants. So you'd think that Sony would chuck it all on the subscription because they'd get to 50 million subs in no time, wouldn't they? Because they've got the games everyone wants. So wouldn't they get there super, super fast?
The arguments that I hear for and against it always strike me as super weird. I think, Colt, you're spot on. And the only caveat, and we'll have to get Ed Freeze back on, is when we had Ed Freeze on the show. He used to look after that team back in the day, And we talked a little bit, are you a big fan of Game Pass? And he was like, yeah, but I'm also really worried about it. I'm worried about the impact it will have on the industry as a whole. And we only had him for like 2 more minutes, and we were like, whoa. But, and he went into it. He said, I'd love to sit down with Phil and actually chat through, because he says, look at what Spotify did to the music industry. It went from like a $50 billion industry to like 25. It like halved. And we were like, and there is another side here that I think maybe we as consumers don't fully appreciate, but equally I would argue that we as consumers don't need to care about. And I think there's the rub, right? As industry pundits, as fans of video games, we discuss this stuff, but if I take off that hat and I just want my cool stuff, I don't care about what the impact is all the way over there. I just want this thing here right in front of me. Then I think that's where the argument starts to change a little bit. But when you talk about subscription service, I was just sitting here thinking, what do I subscribe to? And I've got I've got Spotify, I've got Amazon Prime, Disney Plus,
heaps,
Netflix, and I do have a Plex subscription.
Do you have Hulu or Paramount?
No.
Wait, didn't you do the Plex lifetime pass?
Yes, I do. I do have a Plex lifetime pass, but it's like
that's one off. That's not a sub.
No, I have.
You
I
have
a
Game
Plex
Pass,
Plus,
Stick?
so it's like
You have
$2.99.
Game Pass?
Yeah.
5?
Oh, and Game Pass.
You have a music one for music?
Yep. Look, you know what the funny part about all this is? I am like a lot of those. I used to be like a lot of those people that can't grasp new concepts. Like, I used to be one of those people that hated subscriptions. Hated them. I was like, no way, subscriptions are the worst. Why should I give money every month for all this stuff? Blah, 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 blah. And you know what the tipping point was for me? And this is going to sound funny. It wasn't Game Pass. It was like, the tipping point for me was Adobe. Adobe. I'm serious, because I used to be a graphic designer. My wife is still a graphic designer. Because Adobe, now, I don't know how much Photoshop and all those cost in the US, but Photoshop here, to buy the full Adobe suite in Australia, to buy it up front and own it, it was like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's like $1,500 or more in the US. At least,
and you'd only get updates. You wouldn't get updates forever. Eventually, they'd cut it off, and you had paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And then they brought out the Adobe Cloud subscription, and now I get it for like $70 a month, and I get the full suite of Adobe stuff. It's constantly updated to the latest version. I get cloud storage. I get fonts. I get all these fonts that you used to have to pay money for the fonts if you wanted new fonts. Now I just get them as part of my subscription. I get all these fonts. Adobe Cloud was my tipping point for loving subscriptions. And then I started subscribing to Office 365. And I was like, oh my God, instead of paying for Office, I just every month, and I get OneDrive storage, and I get all
Office
this stuff.
365.
Yeah, so I subscribe to Adobe, Office, Apple One, which is like iCloud storage and all of Apple's music, Apple TV, all of those things.
Since they went subscription, they lower the quality.
Oh, yeah, look, the quality on those Apple TV shows is garbage, dude. Yeah, ever since Apple did that sub, man, they just won the Academy Award for Best Picture, but man, those TV shows and movies on Apple TV are just straight up garbage, bro. Yeah,
all right,
man.
We've got a couple of super chats to round things off before we tackle the last piece of news. We've got one from Goldshell, who asked, "Does XboxEra Discord have a Halo team? Sincerely, Windows Central Battle Shrimp."
I think we do.
Yeah, I mean, you happy?
Proven has to be on it because he's the best one by far.
Yeah,
is he? Proven.
Oh yeah, Proven's very good at Halo.
Really?
It wasn't.
I'll take him on in SWAT. No,
I meant Halo, not a mode that no one cares about.
No, I'll take him on in SWAT. If anyone wants I'll tangle with anyone in Tactical Slayer.
And he's pretty good. But Goldshell, I'd recommend checking the XboxEra forum and just jump into the You Had Me at Halo or Halo threads. You'll find people in there. Easy peasy.
Shane, guys. I don't know how to pronounce it. Guys. Finally, an Xbox show with perspective. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
You're
welcome. We'll be here next week.
Thanks, mate. No worries.
Every week.
I mean, for every person that thinks it's perspective, I'm sure there's a ton of people that are like, oh, stop capping. What does capping mean? What does capping mean?
Shilling.
I hate that word. Yeah.
What does it mean? I'm old. I'm 42 next month. What does capping mean?
Standing. It's up there with standing as well.
Is it? Yeah, but then I see people on Twitter go, no cap. What's no cap?
You're not capping, I guess, or you're not standing.
I see no cap, and I see cap.
It means like just embellishing the truth to make what you believe sound right. I think is what it means. As I get older, I get so annoyed by the way that younger people talk.
I don't get it either.
And like because all the time. They use it the wrong
because
way.
my kids watch so much YouTube Kids. Some of the stuff I hear them rip out. Like my son calls everyone bro. My son just calls everyone bro. Like he says it to his mother.
You bro?
It's
like when you say in your room, it's like bro.
Yeah. Like he says it to my wife. He says it to his mother. He's like, relax, bro. Hey, bro. I'm like, who are you talking to, dude? Like,
my 4-year-old daughter, she watches too much YouTube Kids, I would argue, which is my favourite parent. But every now and then, when she's playing, I'll hear her playing with dollies, and she watches this awful, awful channel called Cookie Swirl.
Oh, Cookie World, see?
Yeah, right. And I'll hear her playing with her dollies, and they're all American. They're all freaking American. And I'm like, she's like, do you want to come to my party? And I'm like, Harriet, what are you talking about?
It's the worst.
We're going to a party, and we're going to have a really good time. And I'm
my daughter, when she was so she's 10 now. When she was about 5 or 6, she went through this phase where she was speaking in an American accent because of all the YouTube Kids she was watching. So she had a full-blown American accent for a little while there, and I'm like, please stop talking like that. That's not your accent. Like, please stop doing that. Pride. That's not how you talk.
No offense, America. All right. I nearly grew up there. I would be talking like that if I hadn't have moved.
It's making up for Madonna stealing your British accent.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It reminds me of that Friends episode. You know that Friends episode with Monica and Phoebe's friend? And it's played by Stifler's mum.
Yeah.
And she went to the UK for a little bit, and she fully took on the UK accent. The mobile.
Friends. I haven't had a good Friends time.
I was watching it last night. God, it's the best show. It's the best show. And you know which episode was on last night on free-to-air TV?
What?
Pivot.
Oh, your favourite.
Oh, God, I love it. Hargeet has a super chat. Agree with you, Nick. Games take too long to make, and they don't have to. Remember 360, Mass Effect, Gears, Bioshock, Uncharted trilogies, Halo 3, 4, Reach, Oblivion, Fallout 3, Skyrim, GTA 4, 5, Red Dead Redemption, and so on. Yeah, but, I mean, that part is a little bit different. Like, with every generation, those big AAA games take longer and longer and need more people to churn out.
Because
that's
we
just the nature.
Better and better.
You know, I saw people on Twitter, and when I was having this discussion on Twitter about how not all games need to be these bloated, massive things, people were like, but you can't have short games and charge $70 for them. And it's like, well, okay, I didn't even discuss price. Like, I think if the AAA industry crashed and we went back to smaller games and whatever, they wouldn't keep charging $70. I assume the price would come down with it. Having said that, and again, this is probably, I will admit, my warped perspective as a 42-year-old who grew up on consoles where the games were costing $70 US or more back in the 80s and 90s, which is probably the equivalent of now charging $100 US or more. Let's just keep that in mind.
Good, yeah.
I came from a time where the games were costing $70, $80 US. In Australia, they were like $100, $120 back then. These were games that were made by teams of like 10 people. They cost nothing to make. And they were games that lasted a few hours. And yet we were still paying those prices for them. Like Street Fighter 2. Yeah. Street Fighter 2 on Mega Drive, I've said before, was $120 back in like 1994 or 1995. And that game could be beaten in half an hour. maybe a few extra hours if you want to beat it with every character. But you could basically beat Street Fighter in a day, and it cost 120 Australian dollars back in 1995. So I don't know. Again, maybe it's an old man thing where the price, but they can't charge $70 and have a smaller game. Well, they kind of can. I mean, it's ultimately a perspective thing. So, and everyone's perspective is going to be completely different. To me, as long as the game is good, I like my short games. I always have. We've been doing this podcast for nearly 3 years in July, and I have always said I love my short games. I always have. I like them. Someone on Twitter replied to me, was like, but then when we do get short games like Metroid Dread, people call them DLC. Hello, go and check out XboxEra's Game of the Year 2021 and see what I voted for. It was Metroid Dread. I adored Metroid Dread. Like I like short games. I am fully starting to get over these big AAA productions. I'm getting over them. They're just too much. I don't have the patience for them anymore. I don't have the time for them anymore. It's just a lot, and that's why I wasn't excited for Starfield. The thought of just having to invest all these hours into a big production like that just filled me with dread. I couldn't be bothered. That's why I didn't get upset at the delay.
Well,
I wasn't interested
one of the
in the
main
game.
Hargy covers this really well because we've talked about this for a while about how games used to take 2 to 3 years. Now they're taking 5, and with the past 2 years, 6. I mean, God of War Ragnarok could take 5 years just to make a incredible DLC. No, I'm just kidding. They could. God of War Ragnarok's like already built for them. Like they're not building a new. They already built it from scratch. So now they get to build this amazing game like they did with Horizon Forbidden West. They've already built the world and everything, and they could just build new areas and all this stuff. Spider-Man 2 is going to go with the same thing. They've still got the city. They may reuse the city again, and they'll just like really ramp it up. So the real problem is since the Xbox One and PS4 era, most AAA games had moved to full facial and body motion capture performance. So now you've got actors and actresses that are going in and they're doing full face cam, full body control points for motion capture, and that takes a couple of years just in that alone. So a game that took 3 years to make in the motion capture studio with another 2 years, bam, every game is a 5-year development cycle, and we've seen that for the past decade. And obviously, and Jess Corden said that you don't want to hear it, but we are still seeing 1-year delays because of COVID. We're at the end of that, right, where that is actually, it's not an excuse, it's actually a reason why games have taken an extra year. I also think that Starfield has a mixture of what it's been doing and whatever COVID and then their problems they've had with the engine or with development. But that is the reality that full motion capture is expected. No longer will we accept a AAA game where they use, procedurally generated lip syncing. We loved Mass Effect. We loved Gears games back in the day when they would go and just kind of associate mouth movements. And most games, you're like, hey, the lip syncing's pretty good in this. You remember that before it was all before the what was it called? LA Noire. Before LA Noire, it was always like, it was very common in a review. The lip syncing in this is actually done really well, or some game. This game is really amazing. The lip syncing's way off, but you forgive it because the rest.
That's
of
what I'm saying.
Really good.
Like, has bad lip sync ever made you not enjoy a great game?
No,
really took me
Mass
out
Effect
of
trilogy
the
is
4-hour
fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, I feel like all this stuff is nothing but fuel for Twitter console wars. I feel like that's all it is. It's like, look at the lip sync, and then someone takes a screenshot and takes a little video of the lip sync being real bad. Okay, the faces looked dead in Horizon Zero Dawn. They had this weird dead look to them. But it didn't stop. Like, I'm not playing the faces. I'm playing the game. Okay, I skip the cutscenes anyway, so I don't care if the faces look weird and the lip sync is bad. Is the game good? Like, I don't know. I worry that in that sphere, people worry about the wrong stuff in games.
Yeah, they do.
They focused on the wrong thing.
But unfortunately, this is how consumerism evolves. This is, why do people buy a new iPhone every year? Because it's smaller, it's thinner, it's faster, it's better.
God, even that I stopped doing as I got older.
And you are seeing that a little bit. Samsung, Apple, their sales start to slump a little bit as people are like, I don't need a new phone.
Yeah, don't need a new one every year.
And maybe there'll be a point where people are like, yeah, well, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is as good as it's going to get. Otherwise, this is just what's the phrase where you come on, help me out here.
What?
I'm trying to. There's a phrase for it where it's like you go above and beyond, and there's no point to it. I can't remember the.
Oh God, yeah. Now my brain's gone blank on it.
Diminishing returns.
Diminishing returns. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Honestly, the Queen's English just failed me completely.
Yeah.
And we've got.
It's funny. Yes,
chats.
2 more super chats, and I saw a comment from the Souza. Days Gone almost killed me with its length. Oh my God, Days Gone. I still haven't gone back to that game. Like, I put so many hours in, and I'm like, this game just keeps going and going. I haven't gone back to The Last of Us Part 2, because that game just takes forever.
This one was about maybe 6 or 8 hours too long, where you repeated some stuff you did in other... Like, you get to a camp, and they kind of have you do all that stuff for them again. That was a great game.
And you know what the frustrating part about Days Gone is? The game itself to play, I like it. The gunplay is really good. Mm-hmm. Riding the motorbike is cool. Sneaking around, taking out zombies is cool. Look, I said the same thing in 2018. So in 2018, I went to PAX Australia and I got to play a demo of Days Gone. Back in 2018, I took a bunch of photos. I posted them in the Discord. I was like, man, Days Gone's pretty good. And a bunch of people were like, ha, you're a pony. And I was like, man, I actually didn't mind what I played of Days Gone. It felt good to play in my hands. So when it came to that PlayStation Plus collection, I was wrapped. I was like, great, don't have to buy it. It's in PlayStation Plus. I started playing Days Gone straight away, and one of my mates is like, fair warning, I got the platinum in Days Gone. That shit took forever. I was like, oh no. So I started playing Days Gone. I was like, this is cool. But man, that game just keeps going. It doesn't end. It just keeps going. And I can't do these long games anymore. Like, it's too much. Tangent. Super chats. Yep. Ya baby father. I'm hoping the proliferation of Unreal Engine 5 on the Xbox side will help speed up the pipeline of game development. 5-year dev time hurts. Maybe. I mean, Microsoft's still the number one Unreal client, aren't they?
I think so.
I think they are.
In terms of owned studios using that technology,
yeah, in terms of just as a client of Unreal Engine, Microsoft would still be the number one client, wouldn't they? Mm-hmm. And Coalition may as well just be an extension of Epic at this point.
Yeah.
Gamers Watch podcast. You guys should watch the Gamers Watch podcast. They have a good podcast where they do the little South Parky Canadian person.
No, they've gone full video now, man. They've
really? They don't do the South Parky Canadian person thing?
They may well still do, but they definitely upgraded their gear because they're a funny bunch of lads.
But I liked that. I thought that was a unique point of difference.
It was. But maybe they still do. I haven't had a chance to catch up on.
Okay. I see. I like when like, because it's hard. Like, cracking into the podcast space is hard. You know, Colt can attest to that. I mean, it wasn't as hard for Colt. Wasn't as hard for Colt coming off a 140k sub base. But having said that,
that helps. But yeah, I mean, every week I'm like, yeah, it could be. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
By the way, you know, I was just speaking of Colt's podcast. You know, E3 weekend, I'll be doing 3 podcasts in a row. I'll be doing our normal show. Yeah. I'll be doing our normal show on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Then the day after, we're doing the E3 live stream.
Yep.
Then the next day, I'm doing Colts.
Yes.
Doing 3 in a row. I'm gonna be so tired by the end of that.
If the show doesn't go well, I can't wait for you to come in like.
I'm just gonna be on Colt's show. I'll be like, man, that was trash.
We'll be prepared because this week we've been talking a lot about expectations not being met with Xbox. So we would be prepared, but we are hearing some good things about the show. they already have a bombastic show ready for us. So
I think it might be okay.
Did you actually read out the super chat from Gamers Watch?
No, I didn't. I still need to. Went on to a tangent. Yeah, Gamers Watch. An argument about AAA games taking longer is how much they cost and how technical they are to make. But who asked for that? Nobody. The internet asked for it. The Twitter console warriors asked for it because they all wanted the best graphics and the best this and the best that. Meanwhile, I was over here playing Crackdown. Like, I don't know. Again, I've said a million times, I'm old. So I came from an era of arcade games where the games lasted 3 seconds and you just had to keep the original microtransactions. You had to keep pumping money into an arcade machine. And the games lasted 2 seconds. That's what I grew up on. So maybe that's just my attention span is born from that. So the long games drain my life. It's like kids these days, right? I find a lot of kids now, or at least my kids, struggle through a 2-hour movie. Why? Because they've grown up watching 5 and 10 minute YouTube kids flicks.
True.
So that's where their attention span is. So maybe that's the same for me. Because I grew up on 5-minute arcade games, as soon as I come along a 20, 30, 40, 50-hour video game, I'm like, oh God, do I really have to put myself through this? Having said that, I also understand the irony of the fact that I've put over 2,000 hours into Rocket League. I am well aware of that.
Games, but you're the biggest supporter of your complaint about these big games is definitely a game I just finally gave up on is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I have 180 hours into that game, and I wasn't even at the end. I tried to push toward the end, and the game was so convoluted. And I'm a big fan of the past two Assassin's Creed and most of the original ones. I love them. But what the crap are you doing, Ubisoft? You bloated this game you bloated it so far that no one could even get around this game. It was so terrible. I ended up a couple of people reached out to me and DM'd me and said, "Oh, Colt, this is what you need to do to the end." And I go, "I tried that, it didn't work. Well, you need to go do this." I go, "No, I went this way and it did this." And you're like, "Oh, well, there's some bugs." I said, "I just uninstalled the game." And games do not need to be 100 plus hours. They just need to be really good.
Just be good. And again, I understand that there is a place for long games. Don't get me wrong. With my tweet, I wasn't trying to say that no game should be long. My contention is that almost all of them are long now. I feel like if you want a short game, your only choice is indies. Is your only choice for short games. And that's fine. There's amazing indies out there. But I miss the days of those shorter AAA experiences. And then that evolved. In the 360 Xbox One era, for me, there was this little golden era, this short window of expander loans, Halo 3 ODST, Infamous First Light, those shorter versions of the bigger game. And you might say, well, what about Miles Morales? Miles Morales was $100. Miles Morales was not priced appropriately for what it was. And I don't care if you think it was not. Infamous First Light was like $30, $40. And it was amazing. And it was short. And I loved it. Infamous Second Son was boring. But First Light was amazing. Halo 3 ODST. Second best Halo game. ODST was so damn good. Jesse, don't make that face. I went back and watched an old episode of our show, and even John, I don't even reckon John remembers how much he said he liked ODST. Do you remember how much?
ODST is a fantastic Halo game.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Second best Halo.
The atmosphere,
amazing.
There's a lot I love about ODST,
and it's short, and it's not bloated, and it's but guess what? It also wasn't a full priced game either.
Well,
it was 60.
It wasn't meant to, but Microsoft changed the game and did up that little price a little bit, and then suddenly it was like this. Yeah, it was meant to be a very.
It was meant to be DLC.
Package. Yeah, and then they were like,
because I think the Australian price was cheaper than a full priced game in Australia.
Yeah, it was like $10 cheaper than normal, but it was still they bumped it up. It wasn't meant to be where it landed, but. Regardless, it's a great little.
Back then, a Halo game was like 8 hours for the campaign, and I think ODST was like 5 or 6.
Yeah,
but
I loved ODST. But
it had that
we had that
world where you could walk around, and
yeah,
that's great.
But we just had this golden period of expandalones, like the Forza Horizon 2 Fast and Furious expandalone, which I adored. It is like my favorite Forza Horizon game because it's nice and short. It's so good. Now, it was free, which is even better.
Yeah,
but even
it was just free, wasn't it? Was
for
it
a window. There was like a 2-week window or 1-week window where it was free, and then they charged like 10 or $15 for it.
Yeah,
and it was great. Ludacris narrated the whole thing. It was amazing.
Yep.
I love that. More of that. I will consistently give you $20, $30, $40 for more stuff like that. Short, punchy, high production value stuff.
Everyone's idol Goro in the chat says, I preferred Hive Busters to the Gears 5 base game.
Yeah,
I agree with him in a lot of ways. Like, Coalition, you made this 3-hour amazing thing. Like, just make a 4 or 5 hour another expansion and maybe add a couple of
to be honest,
abilities to the characters. Like, instead of just the one, or just make it customizable or something like that would blow people away.
I think that's something that hopefully Game Pass and the delivery mechanism of Game Pass will facilitate at some point in the future, is just developers, because typically when you get sequels very quickly, and let's look at Crackdown 2, Miles Morales, right? They take the same city, the same systems, they tweak some stuff, they maybe make the season different, whatever, and then boom, you've got your thing. But if they can do that or do something unique, and maybe it's just a short 3-4 hour thing where it's, we've learned all of this stuff from where we worked on the engine, we've learned all of our artists are free, boom, 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 and they can just launch it like that as just extra stuff. I'd love a world more like that. But hey,
that's what I love. Hive Busters is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. More stuff like Hive Busters. That is what I want.
I'm just conscious of time because I know Colt's running back to back here, so I don't want him to collapse.
Yeah, look, the sun's still out where Colt is. He's fine.
He's gone. Let's end again with Hargeet with another super chat. Have you got that one on your screen?
Yep. Uncharted Lost Legacy took 1 year from concept to delivery, just saying. And that's because the pieces were in place.
Exactly.
The engine, character models, this, that. Actually, I've still got to finish off Lost Legacy. I started it, but then got distracted by a bunch of other stuff.
Ragnarok. God of War Ragnarok. What's God of War Ragnarok on? 19, 20, 21, 22. They're on like a 4-year cycle right now.
This would be we just crossed 4 years.
Yeah.
We just crossed 4 years.
Yep. If they started right away, which if I was a studio,
which they probably didn't
do anything for a couple months.
They probably didn't.
Yeah.
So last piece of news before we do some housekeeping and some other things. Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights got a little 14-minute Robin and Red Hood demo. Did you watch it?
I did.
Impressed?
It looked okay to me. It
looks all right, didn't it?
I saw a lot of people hating it. Oh, the animations. Oh,
people are unhappy, aren't they?
It was like that discussion we were having before.
It looks better than I thought it was going to be, but people are so unhappy. I just have a feeling. I have my complaints about some of the animations and some of the goofiness, but I look at this and I go, I've learned over the years. Like, I was really apathetic about Guardians of the Galaxy, and I ended up loving the heck out of it. So I'm like, I bet you I'm going to enjoy this. Does it live up to Arkham City? No, it's not made by the same team. It's not a Rocksteady game. So hopefully I'll really like it. But for those of you who are thinking, maybe they'll sweeten up these animations. No, the game's done. They're polishing it up, getting it ready for launch.
It looked fine to me. It looked fine.
It looks fun.
It's okay. It's okay for it to just be okay. It doesn't
This is what I'm saying. There's a comment, and I'm not going to dob the person in, but there's a comment in the chat now. Gotham Knights looks like a late PS3 360 era. I'm like, really? Does it? I don't know.
Well, if you look at Arkham City right now, that is like mildly enhanced for Xbox One and PS4. This looks kind of the same, but those games are just really amazing. Arkham City is.
I actually started playing Arkham City again yesterday, and I was like, "This is
great."
It's a little
bit good, doesn't it?
Stretched over 86 inches, but it still looks fine.
Jim Ryan in the chat. That gets me.
Jim
Yeah,
Ryan.
yeah. Jim Ryan's always in our
He's
chat.
hilarious. He says, people will be more happy if we talk about my cats. Yeah, I love the Jim Ryan in the chat. Good time.
And
Gamers Watch. Gotham Knights look fun. What more can you want from a game? It reminds me of
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, which was outstanding. Not every game has to be a banger. But, like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to... I have too many controversial opinions on this topic, and it's better that I keep them to myself.
Say it. No, say it.
It's better that I keep them to
It's
myself.
a safe space. It's a safe space.
It's not a safe space at all.
Video games can
I
be
think...
anything.
I mean, I think the chat would agree with you with what you're about to say, but go ahead.
Nah, many of them wouldn't.
Okay, how about this? Just sugarcoat it just a little bit, just to say I don't want to start a big argument because it's not.
I just don't like where the industry is heading in terms of everything has to be the best looking, everything has to have the best animation, everything has to have the best sound, everything has to have the best. Like, we're hitting a point where it's going to become unsustainable. Like,
Well,
do people not understand that those Assassin's Creed games, you know how many people work on those games?
Thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands. It's becoming unsustainable. Do you think Last of Us 2 was just made by like a handful of people at Naughty Dog?
No, it was
Like,
made by
nah,
13
man.
studios or something.
Go and look at the credits on that game. I haven't seen the credits because I haven't beat it yet because I can't be bothered dragging myself through that game. But Last of Us 2 was also worked on by... I think it was also in the thousands. Like, these games, you can't... you can't keep asking for the best of the best of the best of the best, but then you also don't want to pay more for your games, and you all went mental over $70. But then you also don't want these games to make any more money for their developers or their publishers because then they're scamming us. But then you also, like, keep your expectations in check, for God's sake. Like, you can't...
Here's the thing I would say about a lot of these games that try and be super photorealistic, best animation class. 5 years, they'll look dated, right? Whereas if you look at a game like
Artful Escape,
right?
Ori.
Incredible diversity, incredible color and vibrancy. But Sea of Thieves will look gorgeous in 10 years. Whereas a game trying to be this ultra photorealistic, look how real life we are, will suddenly look really, really dated because it isn't. And, you know, art style counts for a lot. And I wish that more gamers wouldn't look at a game and dismiss it just because it isn't, you know, looking out your window. Yeah, or they'll raise their eyebrows at it being cartoony. Gameplay is king still, even 30 years later. You know, it's still how it plays, how it feels to play is what's important above all and everything else. So if the animations are wonky, but my character gets to where I want it to be at the right moment when I'm pressing the button and expecting an action, that's good. That's a good thing. I don't mind if they skim along the ground to get there. It doesn't bother me because it feels right. It feels like the game is caring about me, the player, instead of leading me by the hand, asking me to press fucking triangle 6 times to force open a door, whatever. Like, that element of video game design is just so shit. Anyway, I'm on one tonight.
It's just, I don't know. It's just frustrating. And, I see people talking about the price in the chat. So don't buy it day one.
Yeah,
so don't buy it day one. Wait a few months. Yeah. Wait for it to drop.
Unless it's Nintendo, in which case you're screwed.
Yeah, but let's see. Nintendo's not charging $70 though. Nintendo didn't go up to $70. And here's the thing: everyone's like Nintendo. You know how much Nintendo games come out for in Australia, and they have for years? $69.
Jeez.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like, but in Australian dollars, that's nothing. Because Xbox games are $99.95 and PlayStation games are $125. Nintendo's games are like $70, $80.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't mind. And Nintendo's games, I know I'm going to play them. I was playing Nintendo Switch Sports yesterday, having a few rounds of bowling. Like, and they're not the greatest looking games, and they're not, blah, 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 blah. And I mean, have a look. Breath of the Wild got delayed. That's been delayed like 2-3 times. And that's a Nintendo game. Why? Big open world, lots of content, lots of stuff to do. I worry. I mean, do I worry? Because if the AAA market crashes, we're going to get more of my expander loans. So maybe I'm not worried. I don't know.
Maybe you keep pushing this agenda.
But I worry that the AAA market is hitting blood from a stone point now.
Yeah.
Like it's going to become unsustainable, and I'm
Even
leaving
Jim
out the
Ryan
controversial. I'm leaving out the controversial part of my
after the cats.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
I'm leaving
Jim
out.
Ryan and Sean Layden have said this about the sustainability of AAA games, and then Phil
Have
Spencer
they?
has said it.
Because they're the ones that are pushing it the most.
But they've all
That's the thing.
spoken on what it costs to make big AAA games, and Phil Spencer has said things that have been mistranslated that they can't afford to do AAA games, so they'll do games as a service, which he never said. And then Sean Layden has said things about what it costs to make AAA games and how it's how the affordability of it. So they know it's expensive, that what they're investing in, and hoping that they will. Well, Jim Ryan said it when he said that the PlayStation console is not enough. Remember that? It was about 6 months ago or a year ago. Maybe it was 6 months ago. He said, yeah, the PlayStation console is not enough. To see our games only reach, 5 to 20 million people, it's not enough. And that translates to him not wanting to say, we put a lot of money into those studios so they could build that game. And if they only reach 20 million at the very top, they could be making a lot more money.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The 20 million sellers on PlayStation are the exception. They're not the rule.
They absolutely.
That's what people are forgetting. Like, people want to say, 20 million God of War, 20 million Spider-Man. And yeah, but that's like 2. And then there was Horizon.
2 out of the 12,
But then there was Concrete Genie. And then there was Days Gone. And then there was Horizon Forbidden West and Gran Turismo. And then there was... Mate, for every 20 million, there's a bunch...
Sold, 7 million or
8
million?
It got to 8.
Enough? 8 million, it wasn't enough.
I mean, that's 8 million...
PlayStation rebuked them. And relegated them to a Naughty Dog support studio. Like, holy crap. It really is... You and Hargeet nailed it, Nick, that it really is about if the game is really great and fun and pulls in people. Xbox could have a little game built by one of their small Bethesda studios that could be like a knockout hit like Among Us and cost only a couple million to build, and they could make far more money than if they worked on this super Starfield banger. You never know. And that's why you have to diversify. That's why Xbox has all the studios making little games, medium games, big games, huge games, and PlayStation's buying up studios to do games as a service.
I feel like there's contradictions everywhere, though. Like, so everyone wants, so many of these third-person over-the-shoulder 100-hour bangers being released every year, but these games take so long to beat. So why do you want so many in a year? Because you don't want them to be any shorter. You want them to still be 50, 100 hours.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, look at the stats of some of these games that when they trumpet, they sold X number of copies, 12 million, 15 million, 20 million, and then you look at how many stats say they completed them, and it's like 5% of players completed those games.
No one beats them.
Congratulations, you made your money, but no one actually played the thing you slaved on for 6 years. Cool. Anyway, bit of housekeeping. Hey, 300 odd people plus, 300 plus people watching the show live tonight, but somehow the math's not quite working out here. There's only 129 likes. I don't know what I'm going to do about it apart from request very kindly that you hit the button so the algorithm
I will demand it.
And then, there you go. I've heard a rumor that there's a rumor mill. Is this true? It says it in my notes, but we didn't discuss it before the show, so I guess we're going to take a moment and listen to a catchy theme tune, which,
Let me get my
there's
DM
a community
out.
question on this, so make sure we ask this once we get into the rumor mill, right?
What?
It's specifically about Colt. Specifically about Colt. I'm sure I read it, yeah. To do with music. Okay. But let's hit the rumor mill button if Jesse's paying attention.
I'm always paying attention. You can literally see me staring at you. But yes, if this doesn't work, blame OBS. OBS sucks shit. Let's go.
Let's see. Let's find out.
Rumor mill. We've never heard that before. It's the rumor mill. Things change, we can't be sure. It's the rumor mill. They may not come true.
The XboxEra podcast is not responsible for websites presenting these rumors as facts.
But go ahead.
There you go. It worked.
Okay. So last week, when it was just Jesse and I and MVG, I mentioned that I'd forgotten the rumor mill that I was going to have for last week, and we said, look, it's not a big deal. It's about Mafia 4. Now, that did get beefed up a little bit by the same source in the last week, which is handy. So this person gave me, it's, again, remember, it's stuff that I hear. I have people that reach out to me with DMs and stuff. So this person reached out to me about some Mafia 4 details, which is fine. I'm happy to... I mean, I don't know what Kotaku reported on. I don't think they reported on much more than, there is a Mafia 4. So I have been... This person has sent me some details. I'll read it out. I'm happy to read it out. Apparently, Mafia 4 is set in Sicily in the late 19th, start of the 20th century, and you follow the family of Don Salieri. Does that name mean anything to anyone? Don Salieri? Is that a person from an earlier Mafia game? Or...
No idea. I've never played any of them.
No?
Yeah, he was one of the guys in one of the earlier Mafia games. Don
Was he?
Salieri.
Well, there you go.
Oh, I think he is the boss in Mafia 2. He's your boss in Mafia 2, yeah, I think.
Okay.
I'm looking at I recognize him. He's the guy that Vinny works for in Mafia 2.
Yeah,
If I
so it's set in Sicily, apparently. Don Salieri. Back to a slightly more linear style like the first two games, apparently.
Oh.
Was the third one full-on open world, was it? I didn't play any of them.
Second and third were open world, but you didn't really do anything in the world other than traverse from mission area to mission area. 3 is really underrated, big time. I just finished Mafia 3 at the end of the Xbox One generation, right before the Series X came out. And, very cool games. Very cool. So
I still want
it'll be a prequel of the first game then.
Sounds that way. I wonder if it would be actually called Mafia 4 then. Perhaps it would be called Mafia The Beginning.
All right. Now, this second part... So this person that gave me the Mafia details... Now, this second part is the part that means more to me. I never played a Mafia game, so whatever. This second part means a little bit more to me. Now, I don't want to get anyone too excited about this because, again, it's not... Remember, a lot of this stuff's never 100%. It's all rumors and mumblings and stuff that we hear. So this person has reached out. They said, look, we may know what Hangar 13, because I think Hangar 13, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Hangar 13 have like 3 or 4 teams / studios in different countries. And I think they have a Czech team, Hangar 13.
Okay.
And I'm hearing rumors about what that Czech team may be working on. And I hope this is... Oh man, I so hope this is real. So a lot of you that know me will know I have bemoaned the lack of good tennis games.
Yes.
Over the last couple of decades since we lost Virtua Tennis. Now, obviously, Sega's probably never going to go back to Virtua Tennis. Yeah? But there was another tennis franchise that was quite popular. It started life on Xbox, didn't it?
Yep.
Do we know which one I'm talking about?
Top Spin. Interesting.
So, I'm hearing that we may be seeing a new Top Spin game.
Wow. That is unexpected.
Yes, that's what I was like. When I got that DM, I'm like, man, are you sure about that? Because Top Spin coming back potentially is a big deal if Top Spin's coming back. I believe it's a top... What did we get to with Top Spin? 4? Did we get to 4?
That was the newest one I found when I just looked up clips on YouTube.
Yeah, so I think this would be Top Spin 5. So, yeah, at the moment, the rumor is that Hangar 13's Czech team, I think, might be working on a Top Spin tennis game, which we would most likely hear about next year. And speaking of tennis games, EA might also be looking into getting back into tennis games.
Wow.
EA might also be looking at Grand Slam, bringing back Grand Slam. So, yeah. Which, because man, look, ideally, I'd prefer Sega bring back Virtua Tennis. Ideally, but I'll take a top spin because the tennis games we've been getting over the last few years have been not great. If a new top spin can get the licenses and we can get Nadal in there and Tsitsipas and
basically.
Yeah, if we can get all those guys in.
Oh god, they did a FIFA thing for like 20 minutes and now Nick's on a freaking tennis tangent. I don't even know what tennis is.
I was always a Virtua Tennis guy over Top Spin, but Top Spin was still a pretty good tennis game. Like Top Spin was definitely there as the second best tennis franchise. So if we can get a new Top Spin.
As long as it's exclusive.
No, well this is they're 2K, so
yeah. $70
or Take-Two or whatever. Because don't they own Hangar 13? 2K?
2K own Top Spin, if memory serves.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's the Mafia 4 stuff, but for me, the tennis stuff is probably a bit more interesting. Hopefully that's the case. That's just the rumor I'm hearing that we might be looking at a new Top Spin and maybe a new EA Grand Slam. But the EA Grand Slam thing, I might run the EA Grand Slam thing by a couple of people that I know people at EA. Maybe I should have done that before I said something. But doesn't matter, I've said something now. But yeah.
It's okay, it's a rumor mill. It's not based in fact, right?
Yeah. So you think. By the way, something John doesn't know about this, Jesse does, but John doesn't.
Yeah.
So
I just saw the message in the chat, not the chat, the private chat. Is this what you're talking about?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, here you go.
So a while back we said, I don't know if this counts as part of the rumor mill because I'm looking at a document. So it's not really a rumor when you have the document in front of your eyes. But a while back I said, we were kind of annoyed because we didn't get to report on a document we received, some information we received about Skull and Bones.
Yep.
Skull and Bones has had its private beta thing. What's it? What is it? What is it that Skull and Bones had?
It's like an alpha test type thing, but they did a big info dump, like 6-minute tutorial. Here's the world of Skull and Bones.
So what info did we get from that? Because I don't want to read stuff from this if it's stuff we already got.
You'd have to show me. You're just reading. But it was kind of like, you gather resources here and you do these things here and then you maintain the morale of your crew and blah blah blah. Like I would have to read your whatever you've got if I know I've been off for a week. So
okay, because we have a lot of info on, admittedly old info. So I don't know how much of this is staying in the game, but we got a lot of info
about. Can I publish
about
the article I wrote now?
No, you can't. I'm not allowed to show. I'm not allowed to visibly show anything I'm looking at here. I can read stuff out and give information.
It doesn't show anything. It just summarizes in my own words.
No.
Okay.
All right. I asked many times if we could do an article, and I was told no, we can't do an article.
Fair enough.
Skull and Bones. Again, I don't know what came out of that thing. I know that it's roughly set in 1691. Is the timeline? I'm seeing a timeline. The new world, the old world. It's set in like 1691. It's got here the context, the Age of Enlightenment. This
is so Assassin's Creed 4 and
I'm trying to be careful about what I say here. Where are we? The world, havens. There's the Red Isle, coast of Azania, Ashes of the Ancients. These are like some of the settings, apparently, the locations within the game.
We did do this. We did do this. Yeah, and talk through a lot.
No, we didn't start reading stuff out from it. The Ghats, the Eastern Shores, Open Seas. There's going to be different classes, which I'm guessing we know from the beta.
Yeah.
Play styles. We've got the Predator, we've got the Scavenger, we've got the Smuggler. You've got a crew. What have we got here? Who's John Skurlock? John Skurlock is a person in this game. Rama, the Admiral of Widows. Mina, the Pretender to the Throne. Thomas Tew. Like, there's so much stuff here. So I don't know. I don't know what this beta has shown. You know, some of the factions, the Compagnie des Indies, the EIC, the VOC, the Sohar Sultanate. This is all old info on Skull and Bones.
The rebooted Skull and Bones, yeah.
So I don't know how much of this stays in the game. But hey, remember what I've said here and see if it's in the final game, and then you can know if I'm full of crap or not.
He's not. I've
played,
seen it.
I've played so much of Assassin's Creed Odyssey Out on the Seas and, of course, Black Flag that when I look at this content that Jesse's got up here, this looks like they quite literally stripped out all of the land stuff of Assassin's Creed Odyssey and just built a PvE thing, which is actually a good idea because there's some people that don't really enjoy the ship battle stuff in Odyssey. I still think it's a really fun thing to do when you get kind of
I don't like it.
Worn out of the. You don't like it? Well, forget you. No, but
you're right. This is Black Flag. Every time I had to go on the land and do assassin stuff, I was like, bored. Get me back on the sea. I want to fight giant ships.
And then it was kind of the opposite with Odyssey. I'm like, oh, hey, I haven't done this in a while, and I'll get on the seas and do some things. I'm like, oh, this is really nice. I miss this, and then I'll go back and do missions. So it was a nice little mix. So but the cool thing about this is that Ubisoft has decided with a lot of their titles lately, like they make amazing looking games that are bigger than life, and they've just failed to kind of capture the perfection that some games can do. I don't know how to say that properly, but
maybe that's why they're all going to go to Game Pass and find an audience there, right? So people could just try them out.
Yeah, I mean that would be
Ubisoft
a nice
Plus on Game Pass.
Mitigation, baby. Get
25 million people. Just tap into.
Yeah, I mean, look at Xbox just lost two major, not just major new AAA games, but two new IPs to come to the platform that is Game Pass. Even if they're not so worried about the Xbox fans that have been waiting for bangers, right? They have to think about a curvature going down of Game Pass and people losing faith. Like, oh, maybe the wait is too long. There's some people who've canceled their subscription, but if you can mitigate it and say, let's get Ubisoft Plus or let's get some big games from Ubisoft day and date on the service. But they
everyone's
don't have
Autogoro. That question is more for John than me because I don't play Sea of Thieves and I didn't even play Black Flag. So
it's more Black Flag.
It's more Black Flag than Sea of Thieves. Well, you've read the document as well. You've seen it. So you've seen what I've seen.
Sea of Thieves, you are one person working with other people on your crew. My idea, or at least my inkling from reading through everything, is that in Skull and Bones, you are yourself and you'll control your ship and you'll maintain a crew, but it's an AI crew. You have to feed them and water them like a plant. From a multiplayer perspective, what I love about Sea of Thieves is the cooperation that happens on the ship, whereas in Skull and Bones, you might have you playing as the man o' war, and you might have two mates playing as fast sloops or schooners or something like that, and then you might have another player on your team, and you'll go out together as an armada. Sounds fine, like I'm cool with this, but I love the more emergent gameplay that Sea of Thieves does, so I'm very curious to try Skull and Bones. I hope, because it's been rebooted a couple of times, I hope they nail it, because I liked a lot of the stuff about Black Flag. But if they add in too much land bollocks, that's the new technical term for when you have to step.
I don't think there's anything on the land, is there? Is there? There's land stuff.
There's land stuff. Yeah, there's safe zones.
This document doesn't seem to indicate land stuff.
Yeah, there's safe zones and crafting and gathering resources and all sorts of shenanigans. And that's where I'm like,
I should probably read better.
Ubisoft, don't make this a job, because if you make it a job, I won't want to play it. All right? You should be careful. So we'll see. But yeah, that's the rumor mill. Now we're going to do a little...
You know what else I saw people mention in the chat, and I guess we can still talk about it as part of this extended rumor mill.
Go on.
There was a survey that went out, apparently, about Japanese games on Xbox or something like that. Can the chat correct me on that?
Directly from Atlas, and it took me 35 goddamn minutes to get through.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, Atlas was asking questions about what people want to see on Xbox, blah, blah, blah. Of course, everyone would have been answering Persona. Just
It was
remember
every
with
single
Persona,
game they've made. It was all
Yeah.
of them, and it was every platform you could list. So
just remember, when I was speaking about Persona, I only ever said they are trying. They have been trying to get Persona. I never said, oh, it's 100% it's done, they're getting Persona. I just said they're trying to get it. They have been trying for some time. Let's be honest, Atlas aren't known for being able to develop 2-3 games on 2-3 platforms at once. They're not known for being the fastest, most efficient developer out there. So let's just keep that part in mind too. But yeah,
I did see while we're on the Rumormill, Idle Sloth on Twitter. He said that there's something leaked called Armour, which is the combat sim game, called Reforger. And apparently a marketing and brand guide has leaked, but the game will be a timed console exclusive with Xbox. Multiplayer game modes will feature competitive and cooperative gameplay, testing new technologies and design decisions from Armour 4. So I don't know how true that is, but I've seen it. I thought I'd mention it, seeing as we're in the Rumormill section. Does it count as a rumour? Perhaps.
maybe.
But yeah. Anyways, we're at the point of the show where we like to remind all of you lovely people watching that we are supported and funded entirely by you, the lovely people that are watching, and in particular by our patrons. If you want to become one, you can head to XboxEra.com and click the link in our banner, or head to patreon.com/XboxEra. And you too can get some cool stuff and help us make cool things. I know I wasn't here last week. I know I put a tweet out. Mentioned some personal stuff. I'm not going to go too in depth in it, but I just wanted to take a moment to thank the crazy amount of DMs and general good wishes that were sent my way. It was humbling and sorely needed. So big thank you. And once again, Xbox community proving that you guys are the best of the bunch out there. Much love to you all. So we got some community questions now, which is one of the perks.
Yep.
Of being a patron. You get to annoy us at the end of every show when we just want to go to bed or go and spend our days doing something else, or in Colt's case, maybe just not be in that chair anymore. But he's unfortunately got to deal with some crazy questions, including one about poop. So let's dive in. What have we got, Nick?
Yeah. Okay. DeoGame, because we read out TornRaptors before.
Yeah.
Came up with a few new questions with the help of Outrigged. They are about Tatanka. Firstly, do you think Tatanka should skip the Xbox One, especially with cloud gaming now in place and 2 years of Series X sales under their belt? Whenever you ask a question, should Xbox One be ditched, the answer is always yes. Secondly, on a similar topic, should Tatanka become its own launcher and game, like Fortnite VR and COD Warzone? This way, they can show they have a new game to the public if it launches this holiday. They can help distance Tatanka from Infinite, which can help both players and fans, as it shows the game is separate. And they can easily skip Xbox One without breaking any promises about supporting Infinite, since it's technically not Infinite. What are your thoughts? I mostly agree.
I don't know if they could do that. I think it would... I guess people complain about that. That they're like, why would they do that? But it's a free-to-play game. You know, it's like, you can't say I paid for Halo Infinite and it's not on the launcher. So, yeah, you just convinced me. And I just convinced myself. Yeah, I think you're right, Nick. If you can ditch the Xbox One, go ahead and do it. You already promised a year or two, and you delivered that.
Yeah,
so that's a good idea.
I hope they ditch it, because then it would be, you know, hey, yeah, this mode, unfortunately, the Xbox One, the performance we couldn't get it to where it needed to be. If you want to play it, please upgrade to the really cheap Xbox Series S. If you trade it in, it probably cost you like less than £100. Just go do it, you plonkers. And then at least they can play. And it might be a good way to, you know, to get any lapsed Xbox Halo fans onto the new platform, especially if it's good.
They are still supporting Xbox One, like DeoGame said. Cloud. They can play it through the cloud on Xbox One. Runs great if your internet's good enough. It legitimately runs well.
Yeah.
And remember, the Battle Royale wouldn't be the Twitch experience that Arena is. There'll be a lot of wandering around on your own and hiding in bushes
and camping.
Blah, 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 blah. So it doesn't have to be the Super Twitch experience. So, and if you're after that Super Twitch experience, guess what? You wouldn't be playing on Xbox One. So, I played Halo Infinite on a 1S. It was not enjoyable. Ooh. So, if you care about how Halo feels, got news for you. You wouldn't be playing on an Xbox One. So don't feign anger and outrage. Spare me. Spare me. Okay. Next question. DirtyFlint. Hello, babes. What's your poop schedule looking like? I'm a solid 7:30 p.m. every night. How about you guys?
Man.
That's the worst question we've ever had.
I mean, like, I
go whenever the urge takes me.
Well, okay. I mean, one, I'm surprised at 7:30 p.m. Like a PM poop. That's weird to me.
I know.
Right?
I'm not Sheldon. I don't have a schedule.
Up early, have my coffee, and usually by my mid 10 a.m. meeting, the coffee has burned through me and it's like, let's go. And I'm sitting there for the last 20 minutes of the meeting. So I'm about a 10:30, 10:45 poop kind of guy.
I'm not on a schedule.
It's usually one and done, and the funny thing is, if I miss that slot, like if I'm on a 2-hour business call or something like that, and I have to just jiggle in my chair for a while, game over. You're pooping tomorrow, son. That's how it works. Don't ask me. What about you,
I just go when I go.
How do you poop?
It's kind of strange. I have never pooped in my life. Just kind of how I work. And
is that why you're so full of shit, Colt? Is that why you're so full of shit?
And if I did, it wouldn't stink. So no.
Rumor has it your shit smells sweeter than most. Name that film. 10 points to anyone.
I like that. Colt just set me up for that one. That was the layup.
I love the chat right now. Oh yes, the scatological segment.
God,
that's good.
Thanks for the
funny.
laughs there.
I gotta find the next question because there's so many replies to the poop question.
Yeah, DirtyFlint living up to his username there. He is dirty.
Yeah. Okay, Morventhus, pick one or both. If you could come up with a code name for a video game, what would it be? And or worst code name you could come up with video game. What is it? Project Spark.
Project.
That's one of the worst ones. A cool name for a cool project code name. Project Falcon.
Ooh, that does sound pretty cool. I want to play
That's a cool name. Project Falcon.
Yeah.
Project Ninja. It's got to be those cool words.
Cool names.
Those cool words.
Project Durango. I remember.
Yeah. See, come on, Microsoft. You need to work on your. You need to work.
That
on
was
your
the code
names.
name for the Xbox One, wasn't it? Durango.
It was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Durango.
See, but
It was
you
like
can
that's
see
the
they learned
Xbox
from it.
520.
They learned that, right? Because the next one was Project Scorpio. I mean, come on.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Scorpio's a good one.
Scorpio. Yeah.
Project Spartan. Poor.
Project Scarlet. Yeah, that was Scarlet.
Scarlet. I just don't give a damn.
Oh, dear.
Anyone old enough?
What?
Don't give a damn, Scarlet.
Old enough.
Scarlet.
Man, you got to
Don't
be
give a
older
damn.
than us. You should be older than us if you're getting that one. That's
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Anyone?
Which I
Gone
can-
with the Wind?
Frank,
Anyone?
you
Anyone? Am I that old? Gone
No,
with the
no.
Wind?
Hey,
I'm with
what
you.
just happened in the chat said, did Rand bail on you guys too? Let's just say yes, he did. Just
Rand
for,
bails on anyone. That's why in the oh, we didn't talk about the Xbox podcast universe.
Yeah, we did.
We
We
have
got so
talked about it at the beginning.
distracted. We got so distracted with. No, we didn't. We got so distracted with other topics.
Let's ask the chat. We'll bang through this real quick. So
Alright.
Nick was
Yeah.
theorizing that all these podcasts, these Xbox podcasts, we all are nice enough to like be on each other's shows. We collaborate.
Yeah.
We talk
Yep.
about all the news together, and we just kind of all work together like a team. And special Nick chat, he claims himself. Show us the shirt that he's Tony Stark. He's Iron Man.
yeah.
There it is. So we want to know who is Sik Mechanico. What is Colt?
What Marvel character?
What is
am I?
Dealer? What is
Yeah.
Rand? You know,
I put out.
gamut.
I just put out a fun. I was just thinking about it the other day, and I was like, "Isn't it funny? Like we all have these Xbox podcasts for ourselves, but we do crossovers and we talk about each other and la da 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 da." So I was like, it's almost like a Marvel Cinematic Universe, but for Xbox podcasts. It was just a fun thought. There was a certain segment of the Xbox community that took it a little bit too seriously and got all up in their feelings about it, who I won't name. And, they got all personal and all whatever. Rand tried to bring up a joke and they got all serious about it. Whatever. Now,
comic
in
books
this
is serious business, my friend.
Xbox podcast universe, I said Rand is Wong. Because he's always... I mean, look at the perfect example. Look at Rand. He was meant to be on Gaz's show and he did his little portal and went, see ya. And he just didn't show up. He doesn't appear on camera. He doesn't show up. That's Wong. Wong doesn't show up and he leaves when the going gets tough. Rand thinks he's Doctor Strange, but he's got the wrong Doctor Strange character. He's Wong. Now, I'm Iron Man. I'm the good-looking, rich, smart-ass playboy that gives people crap. So I'm Iron Man, see?
And I said I was Captain America because I
could buy that. I could buy the Captain America.
And they were like, "You're not Captain America. You're I can't remember. They had some insulting character that I was.
Who'd you cop?
I don't know. What about John? What's John?
I have no idea. Like, I don't even want to volunteer myself to be in a role. Like,
who are you in this cinematic universe?
You tell me.
They said I was Black Widow. Like,
what?
What's going on a mission that no one cares about?
You look great in leather. That leather catsuit.
Gaz is Loki. That's like settled. Gaz is just 100% Loki. He's like,
oh, look, I'm
full Loki.
Sik is Thor. I'll take it.
What?
Or Nick,
How is
Nick
it Thor?
Fury, a short, furry little hobbit version of Thor. I'll take it.
See, I thought Rand said I was Ant-Man. Because he's like, you're not OG. You appeared in the scene about halfway through, like Ant-Man did. And at first I was like, whatever, Rand, stick it. And then I thought about it more, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of apt. Like, Ant-Man grows big and small. So, if I have a rumor mill and it's true, then I'm like big and I'm like, there's articles written and all sorts of stuff. But then when it's wrong, I'm like a clown and I'm all small again with my rumors. But then Ant-Man ends up arguably being the most important character, because if he doesn't introduce them to the quantum realm, they don't get those stones back and they don't defeat Thanos. So Rand was paying me a compliment without actually realizing it by calling me Ant-Man.
Is there a character called Ego in the MCU?
Yeah,
I don't know enough about my comic books.
That is Peter Quill's dad in The Living Planet.
That's
Ego,
it.
Played by
That's
Kurt
who you
Russell.
are, Nick. You are Ego.
Who?
Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
From Guardians of the Galaxy. Quill's dad. You reckon?
Kurt
Russell,
You're Ego.
Yeah, Kurt Russell.
Like
I could buy that. I could buy that.
Play. God of a planet. Good name choice. It works.
Travels from planet to planet doing certain things on those planets. Yeah, I could buy that. I could take that. If you know what Ego was doing in that movie, yeah, I'd take that. I'd gladly take that.
I'm seeing Nick is Thor, John is Nick Fury, Moon Knight.
Hey, I like this
English
one.
accent and he's tired.
Yes, Sik is Moon Knight. Yes, I like that. Always tired, probably doing shit in his sleep that he doesn't realise. The English accent with an American accent that appears every now and again. Yeah, I could buy Moon Knight. I could take Moon Knight.
Yeah,
Moon Knight's a good one.
As long as I've got some kick-ass powers and I can become.
We got a Hargeet Chani. We already know who King David is. Hulk, because doesn't he have like a ton of Hulk toys in the background, the statues?
Yeah,
the whatever.
Yeah,
he's a big fan.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
okay.
The point was, it was just a little bit of fun. It was just a little bit of fun. It wasn't anything serious. I don't actually think I'm Iron Man. It's okay. It was just the joke.
Ducato says dealer's rocket.
Brit saying that I'm Rocket. Trash Panda. Whatever.
Trash Panda, yeah. I thought of dealer as Drax, but dealer's like way more animated than Drax is. But yeah, it's funny. It's fun. It's all in good fun.
Everyone should just...
that's what I thought. I thought it was just a little bit of fun. And I called Jez Alcoholic Thor. I said Jez was Thor from Endgame. You know, where he's all just getting drunk and doesn't give a rest. That's Jez. Jez is Endgame Thor. And everyone was having a bit of fun. But there were some people that took it a little bit too seriously. It's okay, guys. It's just a joke. Smile. Life's not that bad.
Have some fun.
Life's not that bad. Smile, sweetheart. Life's not that bad. Okay. Next community question. Cade Forever. Hello, Nick, Jesse, and welcome back, John. And Colt's here too. So, fellas, how are we feeling that Nick's character, yes, my continued role in the Halo TV show, has done the dirty with McKee and stolen her virtue? I have not seen this episode. Does he have sex in episode 8?
Yeah, he does.
Look, I am up for some sex scenes in any TV show. When I see that warning at the start of any TV show that says, violence, this sex scenes, I'm like, woohoo, let's do this. Is it decent? Is it a decent sex scene at least?
It's short. I don't think he excelled in his.
I can relate to that.
Manliness,
I can relate. So it looks like they really got me down to a T then. I always envisioned Master Chief as a virgin boy for life, but not in this universe. Instead, John is a stone-cold womanizer who has mastered the art of swooning females with his signature killer move of bringing McKee her favourite childhood book. What a silver-tongued devil you are, Nick. That was enough for McKee to disrobe right in front of you with a sexual gaze of F me right now eyes. However, the most bizarre part of the whole episode is when Cortana just decided to sit on the sidelines and watch you two bump uglies. Oh my god, did that really happen?
Like I said, it was a bit weird.
Oh god. Sorry. No, I know that happened. I was there. Yeah. I was acting it. I was there. Sorry. I think she might have a cuckold fetish. You have one dangerous love triangle, Nick. You'd best watch yourself. Polygamy is frowned upon in Australia. That's why I do it on the down low. All jokes aside, here is the real question. It's almost inevitable that we will get another live-action adaptation of Halo, but who would you want to helm it? Neil Blomkamp is an obvious choice, as he has expressed multiple times his desire to make one. My unrealistic dream pick would be Denis Villeneuve. After I saw his incredible work with Blade Runner 2049 in June. Another director who would be a dream pick is David Fincher. You reckon for Halo? Who has said he would be interested in doing a Halo project as well. Who would your choice be? My choice for Halo. You guys do your choices. Let me just find mine.
Let's set the rules. It's got to be a movie adaptation of Halo.
Yes.
Cool. Hideo Kojima.
I have a choice. I have a choice.
Go on.
Go. You give yours.
Okay. My choice would be James Cameron.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
The guy directed Aliens, right, which Halo riffed off of a lot of anyway, so he would understand the banter. And regardless of your thoughts on Avatar, right, he shoots and understands action really, really well. He breathes life into universes. This one's got an extensive background that he can, concept up, and he really gives a crap about it. And, if I look back over my movie watching history, there are a lot of James Cameron flicks that are sitting admirably and comfortably in my top 20 of all time. So, yeah, I'd give him a shot.
Do you want to hear my choice?
I
reckon of the three of you. Oh, did Colt not pick?
Not yet. Go on, who would you pick to direct a new Halo movie?
This makes me sound old, but I would like to see Peter Jackson do it because he is like a purist and he's amazing, and I want to see him come back to what he does best. I think he could do it because he would dive into source material and make everything true to everything. You wouldn't have Master Chief taking off his pants and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. And I wouldn't say no to a Peter Jackson directed. I think the problem with Peter Jackson is he needs time, and if a studio rushes him,
and he'll make like 4 movies.
I've got no problem with that. The Hobbit was forced on him. Lord of the Rings was a cinematic triumph that is yet to be beaten in any way, shape, or form. So
yeah, he was pressured hard by everyone to do Hobbit, even the fans.
Yeah.
They were still good.
Look, Neil Blomkamp would be great because look at District 9. District 9 was the tattered pieces of Halo.
Then go watch Chappie and then think
Chappie was great.
No, it wasn't.
Chappie
and then watch
great.
Elysium and then be like, okay, stop.
No, Elysium was bad. It visually looked like Halo, but it was bad. No, my choice to direct a Halo movie, and I reckon the only person who will know who this person is without Googling is Jesse. And even Jesse might need to Google. My choice of director for Halo is Joseph Kosinski.
I know who.
Anyone know who he is?
I think I know who Joseph Kosinski is.
No, don't Google him. Do you know who he is?
That does sound familiar. You have a slight hint for us?
Is my choice. He directed Tron Legacy. He directed Oblivion. And he's also directed the upcoming Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, I knew I recognised the name.
Tron Legacy. I reckon he would do
go
a
see
good
Top
Halo
Gun
movie.
Maverick tomorrow, because I've heard absolutely insane things.
Yes.
About it. I'm going to go and IMAX the shit out of it.
If you look at Oblivion, did you watch Oblivion with Tom Cruise? That was a good movie.
Yep.
Tron Legacy was amazing.
Visually, he's a good director. Nothing wrong.
I'm telling you, I reckon Kosinski would be a good director for a Halo movie. If you look at what he's done, if you look at his body of work, he did Only the Brave, which was with Brolin. So if you look at his body of work, both visually, thematically, like I reckon he would be able to handle everything to do with Halo, and it would look great. And
I'd up for any one of these guys to give it a shot. It's fine by me.
I reckon Joseph Kosinski should be tapped on the shoulder for a Halo movie. Personally, he is my choice.
Yeah,
and I haven't just gone with like a big name.
Yeah,
blah 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 blah. No one even knows who the hell he was until I said Tron Legacy and Top Gun Maverick. So,
well,
I reckon he'd be great for Halo.
Yeah. We've got.
So if anyone is watching this, if anyone's watching this in a position of influence,
make it happen.
Make it happen. Joseph Kosinski. Super chat. Faisal. I know I'm late, but is there going to be an XboxEra podcast universe crossover with a potential Friends podcast universe? Ooh. Oh, man. Hello. I can't believe we forgot to ask Ed Freeze if he likes Friends. I thought about it the other day and I was like, we forgot to ask him if he likes Friends.
We'll have to have him back on.
I'm going to DM him on Twitter. I'm just going to be like, by the way, random question, do you like Friends? Colt. We didn't ask Colt. Colt, do you like the TV show Friends?
Colt, it's okay to say no.
Yeah. I actually watched it in syndication. My wife and I watched it a bunch.
Finally, we got someone.
Yeah, I just don't like Ross at all. And
yeah,
I'm watching Joey's show, Man with a Plan. Like, we just finished all the way through it, and I really like it. So, yeah.
If you want to watch something good with Matt LeBlanc in it, post Friends, and John should be aware of this and should also like this show because it's set in the UK. Episodes. There is a TV show called Episodes. It is a fantastic show. It's a UK based. The show is set technically in the UK. There's a couple of English writers who have written a famous English comedy, and that, of course, it makes fun of the fact that Americans always try and make shitty American versions of great British comedies. So what happens is they take this British comedy and they want to make an American version of it, and they cast Matt LeBlanc. And the writers were like, we don't want Matt LeBlanc. And the Americans were like, well, we're going to get Matt LeBlanc. And he plays himself. He plays his true self in this show. And it is fantastic. It's called Episodes. And it is, I think it's, I want to say 3 seasons. It got to 3 seasons.
5.
It is 5? Really?
Yep.
God, I didn't realize it was that many seasons. Holy crap. Episodes is great. It is so good. If you want to watch something with Matt LeBlanc post Friends, watch the show called Episodes. Fantastic show.
All right.
Gamers Watch. I'd love to see Tommy Wiseau. Give it a go. Hi, Chief. Okay.
3 left.
Next question. Good old Collingwood. Hello, John, Nick, and Jesse, and welcome, Colt. Colt, thank you for being a paragon of the Xbox community. reminding everyone that we can all be and do better. That's why he's Captain America. One thing people may know is that you have a musical background. Any chance we can get a demonstration of that? Sing the Rumormill jingle or play a few licks of the Friends guitar riff. And remember, he's got Be Nice with the Arnott's Nice original biscuits. Down. So you're going to sing anything, Colt?
Colt, we need to write a Rumormill jingle for us.
I don't know the riff.
Are you going to pull out your guitar? Get that guitar in the back and play something with that guitar.
Okay, hold on.
Wait. Are we going to have a sing-along? Hang on.
So no one told you life was going to be this way. What's happening right now? Everyone's just abandoning their chairs. Oh, here we go. The acoustic.
It's not that simple because
it's
my
happening.
guitar kind of holds up my light box and it's like... I don't know. I don't normally...
Kumbaya. Let's kumbaya.
I don't normally do stuff like this, but...
I don't have any instruments. If I had a recorder, I'd be like...
Hot cross buns. So what is it? It's something like...
Down.
I'm gonna have to
No
learn the
one
Friends riff.
told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you broke. Love life's the way.
We got told to do this.
It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't been your day.
He's doing it.
Or even your year.
He's just using his
Sorry,
musical talent.
I've actually
He's into
never
it now.
played this before.
I loved
Hold on. As I scroll down. I'll be there for you.
it. You got the tab up on your screen. Love it.
I'll be there for you. Cause you're there for me. What's that chord?
That was great.
It's so funny when you
There you go.
I gotta get to the end.
You asked for it.
Well, the community got what they asked
Just
for.
like that.
The community got what they asked for.
There you go. You asked for it and you got it. See that?
I know my guitar's off screen, but yeah, there you go.
How many other podcasts get a musical number from Colt?
I loved
Oh
it.
my gosh.
See, this is what I mean. The crossover universe. Told ya. See, this is what I was getting at.
Random tangent,
Okay.
because people ask me about vaping all the time. I'm using an Aegis Geek Vape Legend 2. There you go.
That
With a
episode was on last night too.
With
The
a
one where
Falcon King
Rachel
tank.
takes up smoking. You know, she takes up smoking because she wants to talk to them outside and not
Yep.
be kept out of discussions and stuff. And then Chandler's like, "Oh, you smell so good." He's like sniffing
No,
it.
that's a lie, because this, even as a smoker, the smell of smoke on someone else is rank as
Gross.
fuck. Yeah, it's literally the worst smell ever.
Okay, so this thick magician. Hi all, I posed this on the forum. What would be everyone's personal one more thing moment in the upcoming showcase? You too, Jesse, don't be shy. I'm going with a black screen. Then the Mandalorian theme starts up, followed by the Coalition logo fading onto the screen. Go D's! Whatever. Queen's birthday soon. Yeah, that would be huge. Like if the screen went black and then you heard that, you know, that Mandalorian startup thing. That
And then it's a little
would be-
top-down strategy game.
It's a turn-based RPG. Yeah, that would be quite cool. I reckon even more hype would be if the screen goes black and then you hear and then the rare xylophony music of Banjo-Kazooie. I reckon that would be huge. I think the moment has passed for Splinter Cell to get that kind of hype, because they kind of just blurted it out.
A high-pitched squeal.
That would have been great if we didn't know it was already coming back.
Yeah.
That
I'd
would have
love
been
to
great.
hear- and it's really, really stupid, but I know that Mech Assault and Mech Warrior is, you know, Mech Warrior's already kind of got a game, but I'd love to see like a really, really big AAA glitzy mech style reboot, but there's a really old FMV from Mech Warrior 2 where the credits are rolling and you hear this kind of like comms chatter in the background and they're like coming into the pipe 555 kind of thing, and then it just kicks in with this and even to this day, this is like 25-30 years old or whatever. I remember playing this on my 486 PC and it had this dun 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 music, and I was like, oh, this is hype. And it had like this cool computer animation Timberwolf walking through. I'd love to see something like that where it just out of nowhere Mech Warrior, like a real fancy version, or Mech Assault I should say.
What about you, Colt?
Close it with gameplay for Indiana Jones.
Oh,
I don't think it's happening for a while, but I think they've got something. They've got something other than panning across the desk to show. So that would be nice.
I'm probably going to get mine. I'm probably going to get my black screen moment. And all of a sudden, he just turns and shoots the screen and all the blood. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. For that reason, I asked my wife to take the kids and go stay at my parents' house because my parents are going away for 4 months. So their house on the beach will be empty.
nice.
So I say empty. A lot of us will probably be spending time there because it's on the beach. But I told my wife to stay there because at 3 a.m, I'm going to be doing some loud talking. And when I see, hopefully, that GoldenEye announcement, I'm going to get very, very excited. I'll be very, very loud. And I don't want to do that at 3 a.m. here and wake everyone up. So it's best that they're probably not here. But yeah, that's mine. And I'll probably get mine. I reckon I will get mine. That GoldenEye one.
Good.
I reckon. You wanted to ask me about GoldenEye, didn't you, Colt? You said we'd talk about it later.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about what type of remake or remaster you think it'll be.
It'll be like the Perfect Dark one, the Xbox Live Arcade one. It'll be that one.
They'll just keep the mechanics, but kind of sharpen up the presentation a little bit.
No. Well, with Perfect Dark on Xbox Live Arcade, they modernized it slightly to work with twin stick and all that. So they did modernize it a little bit so that you could use twin stick controls and everything like that. But aside from that, it basically kept everything from the Nintendo 64 version, which was even that weird auto aim the Nintendo 64 had, where the gun would just drag over to an enemy. Yeah. That even stayed in the Xbox Live Arcade one. Now, I don't know if that will still be there in the GoldenEye one. I don't know if they'll tone that down or whatever. But as far as I was aware, it was that Xbox Live Arcade build that was locked away, as far as I'm aware.
So who's
Xbox and Switch.
What'd you think?
Xbox and Switch. Allegedly, they're trying to also get crossplay in there for the multiplayer.
So it would be a multiplat for everybody.
Technically.
That's what you're thinking?
It'd be Xbox and Switch, and I assume PC.
But not on PlayStation?
Nah.
No.
And who do you think is making it? Like, who would you assume is making it?
No, it's made. It was made years ago.
Yeah, it was.
4J made it. 4J made it. The same studio that made the Perfect Dark one.
The reason it's making so much noise is that a couple of rare staffers were caught playing it on their public accounts, and they got achievements for it, which suggests that there's a public build floating around out there. So that's why Nick is so fervently, desperately clinging to a surprise shadow drop. But yeah.
I think they still want to release it for the anniversary in August.
Maybe.
Because that's the 25th anniversary, I think, of GoldenEye, I believe.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Last question.
Yep.
Andre4983. Hello, John, Nick, Jesse, and Colt. Hope you're all doing good. First, on the matter of CPU totally cheating on games, as we discussed last week with Dim, I have a clear recollection of the crazy scripting on Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey for the Nintendo 64, where it was literally impossible to get over a 2 or 3 goal advantage over the CPU. Moment where its team suddenly acquired supernatural skills and inevitably scored just a couple of perfect moves. It made me oh so mad. As a matter of fact, screw you, Wayne Gretzky. Now, on to the important stuff. About 2 weeks ago, I had my first experience with iced coffee. In what can only be described as an instant, it says an instance, I guess, of spiritual enlightenment. That reminded me of Nick's comment about some divine recipe of vanilla iced coffee a couple of episodes ago, but unfortunately I wasn't able to find the episode where it was actually explained. So Nick, would you kindly repeat it for us, still uninitiated? Would you kindly repeat it for us, still uninitiated? Have a nice weekend, everyone, and as always, best wishes from Rio, not the capital of Brazil, de Janeiro. Andre, I would gladly give you my vanilla iced latte recipe. One thing I want to say, though, on that cheating video games thing, NBA Jam was a prick about that, too. Do you remember NBA Jam in the arcades? Man, that game was a prick. Like, if you were starting to get too big of a lead on the computer, it would just demolish you and nail threes.
Yeah, the CPU would go on fire constantly, green threes, and
it would just push you over anytime you tried to do anything, reject every ball, and oh my god, NBA Jam was the worst.
When I think of AI cheating in games, the closest thing I can think of was the Dark Sim in Perfect Dark, because when you played against the AI, it used to cheat and walk through walls. Like, how did you get here so fast? And it would just, because it would always know where you are. It would have pin perfect accuracy, and it was horrible. I did eventually beat it, but it took a while to get to that point. But yeah, I remember.
Well, I mean, it kind of has to, doesn't it?
It has to.
It kind of has to. Like, it's like Alien Isolation. The developer came out on Twitter and was like, "Well, the alien technically knows where you are at all times."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, I mean, that's just a limitation, I guess, of today's AI, isn't it? Like, I would hope that as time goes on, I don't know if this generation's the one to do it, but there might be a generation where we get to a point where AI can be truly intelligent and it doesn't have to cheat. But who knows? As to the iced latte recipe, I'll try and go through it quick, Andre. If you have an espresso machine, if you have some of the Monin vanilla flavoring, look at that, Jesse's just walked off. You do 2 shots of whatever coffee you like. Nespresso does make iced latte focused and iced latte specific pods, so if you want to get those, get those. I do 2 shots of those, and the amount of water that comes out on each shot is about that. So it's one of the lower settings. It's not the full-on espresso one, but it's like one above. I do 2 shots of that, and in those shots, I mix my vanilla as much as you like. I only put a little bit. I don't want it to be too sweet. Mix it in properly so that the vanilla infuses properly with the coffee while it's hot. So it's full-on mixed into it. You get your ice ready in your glass. Once you've mixed in your vanilla, you get your coffee with the vanilla, pour it in. Then you get the milk on top of that. Mix it all up. That's it. And it's beautiful. It's like so nice on a hot day. So nice. That's it.
What's Sik? What are you looking at?
I was just waiting patiently. I was just,
I was answering the question. It wasn't a tangent. I was answering the question.
It's a convenient excuse. All right, stop paying money to the community questioners.
I did not even. That was one of the questions I didn't read in advance. I actually didn't know that iced latte thing was coming, but I'm glad it did. Iced lattes are fantastic, and I've been drinking them for over a decade. It's time the rest of the world came around and understood the greatness that is vanilla
I love
iced
an iced
lattes.
latte in the summer. I'll get that over getting a hot coffee.
Did you just say an iced latte?
Iced. Maybe it is coming up to 2 a.m. But yeah,
an iced latte.
Anyways,
that was good.
Hey, Colt, thank you for joining us for 3 hours.
Thanks, Colt.
After doing a previous 2
hours with Gaz.
Show.
Thanks to Rand Wong.
Would you like to
Randall Wong?
Just in case people don't know who you are or where you are or where they can find you, would you like to pimp yourself out a little bit and your channel and things like that? Go on, I know you're used to it. Go on, ready?
Yeah, no, I was gonna see myself out like Rand. Yeah, I mean, if you've seen this is your first time seeing me, I'm Colt Eastwood. I have a channel on YouTube called Colt Eastwood. I also do a podcast on Monday nights in North America called the X&C Podcast, and that's an Xbox News podcast. And
I've been on it.
You've been on it, and you'll be on it again.
Yes, I'll be on it in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Yeah, it's
but I'm Iron Man.
Leon doesn't mind staying up super late and wrecking the next day. It will become impossible to deal with. I'll have you on anytime. But yeah, it's really good to be here. Interesting.
And remember,
for Xbox fans. Yeah.
Remember, everyone, if you're wondering why Colt is full of shit, it's because he doesn't poop.
It's true.
That's why.
You know what? I'm going to say that if someone ever tells me on Twitter that I'm full of crap, I'll say it's because I don't
poop.
Yep.
I don't poop.
Yeah. But interesting week for Xbox gamers, and some people mad at me, some people applauding. You know, the best part, guys, was someone's like, "This is the best I've ever heard, Colt," because I critiqued Xbox when they happened to be listening. Like, I can't tell you how many videos where I've said Halo, Gears, and Forza as a complaint, or I've said Xbox had trouble getting their first party stuff off the ground, or Xbox's first new IPs have not, have been super successful. I said this in so many videos. The only difference is I don't make an entire video about a complaint. Like, these are passing statements. Yeah, it's like, can you imagine? Like, I have a stalker on Twitter who constantly
join the club.
Right? I have this stalker. He always tries to call me out. And he took a clip of me on my podcast the other day saying Xbox has only put out Halo, Gears, and Forza in the past 10 years from their studios, with a couple exceptions, and they need to do more. And he's like, "This is the best I've ever heard, Colt." Another time he said, "This was Colt's best video when I talked about something Xbox needed to fix." So it's like everything else, like anything that's positive for Xbox or critical about PlayStation.
You're a shill.
People hate it. They hate it. And then, like, he's finally being real. No, I'm finally doing what your biased self loves. We all have a preference, right? It's fine. We all have a preference. And I talk about Xbox. This is the XboxEra podcast. We're going to cover Xbox stuff. Yes, but we're still having fun. We're having a good time.
Yeah, hell's yeah. And it's been a pleasure having you on, sir.
Yes.
So
thanks for jumping on.
Big thank you to all of you who stuck around for the most of the time. We were over 300 for a good 2 hours there, which was really lovely. There's still 200 odd watching now. So big thank you to everybody for hanging out. It's been a blast. Thank you again to Colt, to Jesse. Big shout out to Jesse. A heads up for everybody that pays attention to these things. Next week, or this week, coming up onto the site, I say next week. So this coming week, we'll have a Evil Dead the Game review early in the week, a big preview on an upcoming title at some point, and some smaller reviews later on the week, sprinkled throughout. So be sure to check out XboxEra.com for all your latest and greatest Xbox news. And without further ado, we'll see you next time.
Ciao for now.
See ya.